introduce retired Marine sniper, Sergeant and founder of Section 1776, and a huge supporter and fundraiser for Homes for Our Troops, Matthew McDaid.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Home for Our Troops. And Caitlin, you have a way of persuading me to speak. She asked me a week ago to speak. I said, yeah, I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. I didn't get back to her. I was hoping that she'd forget. But a couple days ago, hey. So she got me again. But I appreciate it. I was at the volunteer day. Something happened. I was grabbing a wheelbarrow, and I took it up to the road, and they were shoveling it full of crushed concrete because we had to bring it back here to build a patio. And I just stopped for a second, and I just turned around and I looked, and it was amazing. There was a human chain from the road all the way out here to the yard, just hauling sod. There was people up by the house digging and shoveling. People back here planting trees. Bobcats stuck here trying to get dug out. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome, and kind of a sobering reality hit me. I said, I wish that I could go back and find whoever built and dug and put that bomb in the road about 4.5 years ago. Because when that bomb went off and that helicopter came in, took you out, that person thought they won. That day, they felt they won. And I would have done anything to stand that person right next to me, have him see what I was seeing, and ask him, do you still think you won? To sit him in the stands when you're playing hockey and ask them, do you still think you won? Put him in that chair right there today. Have him look around and ask him if he won. He didn't. This is how we win. This is how America wins. Homes for Our Troops. You're winning. Bobby, you're winning, man. This is how we as Americans win. Small town communities make a nation. And this is what makes our nation great right here. So don't forget this day. You inspire me, man. You inspire me a lot. So, to everybody, thank you for allowing me to be part of this, Homes for Our Troops. And, Matt, you've been given a gift. Raise your boy to be a man in this house and live your life here, man. You earned it. So, thank you. God bless.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Two Guys on a Podcast. I'm Tom Waite.
And I'm Mike Cardinale. As you can see, we have a guest today.
You just watched a short video of Matthew McDaid, a fellow veteran, spent time in the United States Marine Corps as a scout sniper.
Matthew's been dedicated to helping veterans during and after his active duty days in the Marines. From protecting our troops from an overwatch position as a sniper, to raising money to help feed, house, and care for veterans, Matthew has always strived to take care of those that take care of us. The video was a speech he gave at what is called a key ceremony at Homes for Our Troops event for a local West Michigan Marine that lost both his legs in Afghanistan. Matthew has raised over $15,000 for this great charity and has invested much more than his money. He invested a lot of his own time and that of his family as they all actively participated each step of the way for this specific veteran's house. Born and raised in Southwest Michigan, Matthew grew up enjoying sports and the outdoors. He joined the United States Marine Corps after he graduated high school in 2003. During his enlistment, he was able to attend and graduate multiple schools to include Marine Scout Sniper School, Special Operations Training Group Urban Sniper School, Advanced Reconnaissance Course, and an Arabic language course, to name a few. He spent over 2 years deployed, which included being wounded in action and receiving a Purple Heart in 2004. In 2007, he was honorably discharged from the Marines and began attending college. He graduated with a bachelor's in science from Western Michigan University in 2012. After graduating, he missed the excitement of working overseas, so he began doing diplomatic security and worked as a designated defensive marksman, protecting the American embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. Since leaving Afghanistan, he's focused on building his company, Section 1776, from the ground up. His loves and passions are as simple as spending time with his amazing family and friends, enjoying the outdoors as much as possible, and continuing to find ways to serve his country.
Welcome to Two Guys on a Podcast, Matt.
How you doing, guys?
Welcome, Matt.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So let's get started and let's find out a little bit about the early years. Matt, if I asked your mom and dad what kind of kid you were, what would they say?
Oh boy, I had already earned the nickname Matt the Brat before first grade. I lived in Portage, Michigan, for kindergarten, and I remember all the babysitters and neighbors call me Matt the Brat. I honestly, I really don't know why either. I mean, one of my favorite movies was like Dennis the Menace. Yeah, I had Slingshot and BB gun and all that, and then when we moved out to Paw Paw in first grade. Basically, I just became a swamp monster. My parents moved up to a dead end. I mean, our first house was like on the river, basin right in the swamps. And I just remember always being gone outside. My parents got me a dog when I was real young. So, every day was just an adventure. Living out in the swamps, I'd bring my hatchet, my BB gun out there and just disappear. And, started getting a little bit of trouble growing up. I definitely, my parents had to work to keep me in line, I had an older sister, and her and I didn't get along for a couple of years. I was always causing problems there. She had horses, and my best friend and I decided one day in the middle of summer they looked hot, so we shaved the horses. We cut the horses' tails, and we shaved the manes into mohawks. Yeah. So that we did stuff like that growing up, but. Honestly, I don't think anybody really disliked me. I think that our group of friends, we were well known for being good kids, very, very good kids, but just mischievous. And when you come from a small town like Paw Paw, that's what you're supposed to do.
Kind of like a typical childhood, yeah.
Exactly. Jump on your bikes and mopeds and go disappear, get in some trouble, and just come back for dinner and let them know let your parents know where they're at. But
absolutely.
So yeah, but as far as nothing really big stands out. I felt like an average country kid growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. How'd you get interested in the Marine Corps? I think you have a little family that had been in the military.
Yeah, I do. So my great uncle was a Marine. He fought in World War II and he got wounded on the beaches of Iwo Jima. A couple uncles on my dad's side also served, and on my mom's side as well. We lost Uncle John McDaid in the Vietnam War. Obviously, I never met him, but my dad told me, lots of stories about him, and I went down to the wall twice, and I got to touch his name. So, I never met him, but I feel real connected with him.
Yeah.
So the McDaids, they've done quite a bit. They've served, and they've lost one in war. So, but as far as when I thought I was going to start to join, I remember watching Desert Storm on TV. My parents would watch it at night, and I'm just a young guy. I was like 5-6 years old. But I remember watching it on TV, and I didn't know exactly what was going on. I remember seeing all that, just lights and stuff and anti-aircraft. It was anti-aircraft going up and, troops, staging. And I didn't know what exactly it was, but, being a boy and, having parents that watched the news and stayed, on top of, what was going on in the world, you see something like that and it has an effect on you. You see lots of dudes carrying guns and something big's going on. So I remember that was the very first time I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. I think that sounds like something I'd like. And then my dad got me introduced to guns really early. I think when I was in kindergarten is when I got my first BB gun. And he says that all his friends were like, that's way too young, way too young. And my dad always says, no, he's ready. He's ready. And so I got in trouble actually when we lived in kindergarten for shooting birds off. I think I shot it off either our neighbor's roof or their bird feeders. But that was one of the first issues in Portage. So moving to Paw Paw out in the country was a good thing to do.
Fresh start.
At that time. Yeah.
That's funny.
You know, and then just growing up and, you know, hearing stories about our uncles and seeing pictures of, you know, Uncle John and Uncle Gary and my Uncle Butch, you know, serving. And my grandpa, my mom's dad, was also, he was a bombardier. So, you know, hearing those stories and just kind of growing up in that lifestyle, I was like, you know, it could be very fitting. Could be fitting for me, yeah.
Excellent.
So, and I mean, I remember, I always knew my whole life that I always had, you know, Navy SEAL posters and Special Forces posters, Marine Corps posters, and, you know, one of my nicknames in high school, people, when I was playing baseball, people used to say, "Come on, sniper!" Like, people used to call me, they'd scream, "Sniper!" this, and, you know, I remember, I would just disappear. I would just, you know, living on the dead end dirt road, I would cover myself in paint or even charcoal, and I would just disappear out in the swamps. And, you know, sometimes I wouldn't even bring a weapon or anything. I would just disappear and just start stalking and just watching and learning and observing and becoming a part of the environment. You know, I loved to see how close I could get to whether it was deer, turkeys, and you know, I grew up in blueberry fields, so there was always pickers and workers out there, and I used to love getting in full combat gear and, you know, walkie-talkies, earpieces, and I would just go out there and disappear and just, you know, move around and see how close I could get to people. And I remember thinking, like, maybe I should just be a sniper, or, you know, everyone knew, you know, Force Recon and Navy SEAL, but something about, you know, me and a rifle, it always just felt good. So even in my future plans in my high school yearbook, it says future plans. I believe it says SWAT or sniper.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I knew
you knew.
as far back as I can remember.
Yeah.
That this is what I wanted to do. Yeah.
That's good.
That's pretty awesome because you don't find that very often.
Yeah, I got lucky.
All right, well, that's great. It makes me feel old because I was in boot camp during Desert Storm. But that's okay.
When did you join?
90.
I joined in
90.
87, so.
When?
87.
87?
Yeah.
I basically was
90 to
90
94.
I was just a little boy causing
Yeah.
problems. Yeah, Matt the Brat was running around getting ready to follow up after you guys.
That's funny.
But you know, you mentioned that, like, your uncle and your dad and everything, you know, and that's a big deal. I had a couple uncles that served World War II, and we didn't find out until the late 90s that my one uncle was actually an original member of basically what's now the CIA.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so he actually wrote a book about it, and so it, you know, it's one of those things that it kind of inspires you, right? Because you know that your family served, it's part of your heritage, and you know you should follow suit.
Yeah, you know
that's actually an amazing story with your uncle or grandfather or uncle.
My uncle,
like, was behind enemy lines in World War II in Europe and stuff with the French resistance, and it was
that's amazing.
it's a pretty amazing
Oh,
story.
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
And to not find out for 50 years.
Anyone's still around?
He's still alive. He's
Is he?
96, I believe.
Is
right
he
now.
open to talking about it? Because a
actually-
guy like that,
We
get
interviewed
stories,
him on,
write them down. Yeah, do an
we
interview
interviewed him on
because
the
stories
show.
like that, they
On
need
Front
to-
Lines of Freedom.
They
Front
got to
Lines
stick
of Freedom.
around.
Yeah, we
Okay,
interviewed
good.
both of them before his brother passed away.
Good.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where you learn about history and you're like, man, I know, you know, didn't know that, not even just for the family, but the way that the times were back in those days. It's pretty amazing.
I just flew to Washington, D.C. with like 73 World War II and Korean veterans, and one thing that really hit me is, you know, the veterans obviously weren't around, but the people putting on the trip, honor flights, they were like, you know, in, what was it, like 3 to 6 years, there's not going to be any World War II veterans around.
No.
It was, that's when I realized, I was like, they are absolutely right. So, you know, these young kids, we got to make an attempt to get these young kids in front of these World War II veterans, shake their hands, take pictures with them, because they're going to be gone.
Right.
They're going to be gone.
I just had a conversation last night with my very close friend from Sweden who's in town on this exact same subject, right? So, in history now, in history classes in schools and stuff, they're not teaching the history like that. There used to be like 3 or 4 chapters on World War II. Now there's like 3 or 4 pages, you know, and they're just not teaching it. And the number of World War II vets now are it's dwindling, like you said, really quick, and that history is going to go away with them, unfortunately, right? Unless
it's our job
keep
to
going.
keep
Absolutely.
Keep that history
so
going.
some of the movies, you know, obviously some of the recent movies they've made and stuff, and they've tried to make them tastefully accurate, if you will.
Right.
There's some good stuff. But I made a trip to DC, not on an honor flight, but I went with a group of VFW in 2010, right before Bobby got hit, actually. So I went on this trip to D.C. with the VFW group, and myself and a friend of mine became like the unofficial photographers. It was like a 4-day bus trip. We took like 2,000 pictures and videos. And we went to all the military memorials. We went by a lot of the embassies and things like that. And every time we stopped at a memorial, like if we stopped at the Air Force Memorial, we'd let all the Air Force guys get off first and go up. So we got to the Marine Corps Memorial, and we had a guy on there named Bob Lorenz, World War II vet, Iwo Jima, Purple Heart on Saipan, Bronze Star on Iwo Jima. He watched the flag raising on Iwo Jima. He was like right outside the picture of pretty much. He knew the guys and everything. So that, I mean, to me, right there that's walking history. Right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, that iconic photo, and he watched it happen. You know, and there's not many at all.
Yeah,
that do that.
My great uncle Wally. You know, I didn't really know that. I knew that he was in the military. I didn't know he was a Marine until I was getting older and getting ready to go. You know. And I remember one day he showed me his arm, and he had the crustiest EGA tattoo ever. And I was like, that is so awesome. But he got wounded on the beaches of Iwo Jima.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So he took grenade shrapnel, and I got a chance to go to Iwo Jima, and I climbed up Mount Suribachi, and I get up to the top, and I knew where his unit had come on, so I took the little Tabasco bottles from an MRE.
Sure.
MRE.
Filled up some sand.
Yeah, I went down there and I dug it up, and as I was digging, honestly, I kept digging. I was finding like 30-06 casings and just cartridges and
just
casings.
littered.
And, a couple feet down, and I filled it full of some black sands. And when I got back to California, his unit, they do like a yearly thing because there's not very many left. They do a big event, and they invited me to it. So I went to it. I mean, my whole dress blues. They're all in their old uniforms, and I presented him with that bottle.
That's awesome.
Oh, he broke down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, I never thought I'd see that sand again.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
incredible just to be at the place where this huge moment in history took place, but also, somebody from our family
Right. Yeah,
was
that's
there.
amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
When we got off the bus, we let Bob go off first. There was a bunch of other Vietnam guys there, but Bob went off first, and he was 93 at the time, or 92 at the time, or something. And we were pushing him around in a wheelchair for the most part. He can walk, but it was just he was tired.
Yeah.
No, I'm walking up there in the morning. And we walked up there, and we went up there, and there was about 8 Marines on the bus. So we all got our pictures taken up there by the memorial and everything. And there was a group of kids, like a school outing that was there. A bunch of 10-year-old kids running around, kind of jumping up on the memorial, running around, just having fun, not really understanding it. Mm-hmm. And what was neat about this was one of the kids' moms that was a chaperone came up and said to me, I had backed away from Bob. Bob walked up to and was looking at the statue. And so I kind of just backed away, just give him a moment. And because I could tell he was in really deep thought, And the mom came up and said, hey, he's got his VFW Iwo Jima, veteran's jacket on. And she said, hey, my son, take a picture with him. And I was like, yeah, let's go ask, So I said, hey, Bob. And he turned around and he had a tear coming down his eye, And this little boy went up and he said, yeah, sure, come on. And they took a picture together. And the little boy turned to him and started talking about, thank you for your service, right? And started talking to him about Iwo Jima. Like,
that's amazing. Because
the kid, he knew. He had learned it and studied.
Yeah.
All the other kids are running around playing.
Yeah.
He's sitting there talking, and that made Bob really cry.
It's got to be a direct reflection of his parenting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's absolutely right. And that happened twice on that trip. In the Marine Corps Museum, another couple came up and wanted to get their picture with him, and they started talking to him about the history and stuff. And afterwards, he's like, I never expected anyone. I expected maybe someone to thank you for your service or something, but to actually know and understand some of the stuff,
right,
was pretty. And that's a lost art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore.
Yeah,
really.
It was eye opening going down there with 70 plus veterans, lots of World War II and Korean guys, and the gentleman I was escorting down there, he was a Korean veteran. Actually, one of my friends' step grandpa. And I mean, small world. I ended up going down there with a guy that lives 4 miles from me.
Yeah, and that was random.
But completely random. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, well, who's my veteran? And they said, well, it's a guy from Lawton, which is right down the street from Pawpaw. Yeah. I said, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I still keep in touch with him and his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah and I, we went out after the trip down there. We went out. And we had seafood dinner with them, and kind of built a friendship with this older couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
another quick story on that was, or Mike, did you want to, the name of that book you referenced earlier?
Well, it's It's called 65 Years of Secrecy. It's a personal story of an OSS agent during World War II by John Cardinale. I guess he's my great uncle, but my grandfather's brother.
Yeah.
And just, it's really amazing the details of the story. But the bigger part of the story is that he was told by the U.S. government that he could never tell what he knew, or they would wipe him out. And you think, that doesn't make sense, but you got to read the story to kind of get the details.
He was into some deep stuff.
He was in the one story that stands out is he had a what do you call it, like an operative, like a German female that was with him, and they went across this river in a boat to get to the other side so she can go get information. And so he, like, I think it talked about him living under this boat while she came out, and they had all these like secret tunnels and the windmills, and it was just, it's crazy. Such an easy read, but so much information.
It's amazing, like what we know about like how the war happened, and then all the stuff below the surface that we'll never even know about that led to what the total outcome. Yeah, you know, and there's stories like that. That is something else.
They talked about a bridge that I think the enemy was trying to blow up, and the U.S. was trying to retain because that's how they were going to get to the other side. And the intel that he was collecting, giving back to his higher ups, helped them save that bridge.
Wow.
I mean, just crazy stuff.
It is. We've talked about that in the past. There's amazing stories in that book.
Yeah.
And true. I mean,
well,
I'm
glad he got that stuff documented. I mean, that stuff needs to needs to stay out there.
Another quick story on my trip to D.C. was we went to the Vietnam Memorial, and there were several Vietnam vets on the bus, and there was a protest, or not really a protest. There was a big march going on the National Mall, and it was an Al Sharpton rally or something was going on. And the tour guide that we had picked up in D.C. when we got there said, hey, we're going to get off, we're going to go to the memorial, we're going to stay in a group, and we're only going to be here about 10 or 15 minutes. Apologize for that, but with this rally going on and it was so close to the memorial, he says, what happens is you guys get off the bus with your veteran gear on, these people will come around and stand around you, someone will take photos and go, oh, the veterans are supporting our cause. He says, I've seen, he was a professional tour guide in D.C., he says, I've seen it all the time. So stay together as a group. And he kind of ushered us in and then kept people away, really. So Dave and I didn't have any military gear on, VFW gear on or anything, so we went off and took some other pictures and things like that. But what was amazing is when we went by, there was an individual on our bus tour, Mike Swanson, Marine from Vietnam, 2-7, I think, and he laid a wreath at a panel. So I figured, okay, he knows somebody on that panel, because none of these guys really talked about anything. And they did a little, him and his wife were there and a couple other people kind of around him, and he said a prayer and, you know, and whatever, kind of silently. And then later on that evening at dinner, he pulled me aside because he knew I was writing a lot of stuff down, and I was talking to people about, and what I was talking to him about was their emotion, not like what happened in the war. You know, it was more emotion and what are you thinking right now, and he started telling me a story about how he went out on a patrol with 8 guys, him and 7 other guys, 8 guys total. And he was the only one to come back. And he carried each one back one at a time. His dead friends, his dead, people that went on the patrol with him, he brought them back one at a time. And then he kind of really got emotional and went up to the room. And his wife said to me, I've been married to this man for 45 years, and he's never told that story to anyone. But it was caught up in the emotion, right? So I got lucky. I mean, I was just lucky to be able to hear that emotion. But that's what convinced me that trip changed my life. Yeah. Because I was documenting things down through photos and through writing stuff down, because I plan on writing a book about it and everything. It's one of those, really long books that it's going to be a short book, but it takes a long time to write. Right. But I got a good start on it. Anyway, so that changed my life because it made me understand, I was going to see the memorials, and it meant something to me as a veteran. Right. It meant something totally
to others.
So your honor flight, and you actually served in combat, right? So you've been there. You know what that's about. I was never there. I don't know what that's about. I can imagine. I can talk to people that have been there. I can relate on a tiny level just because I was in the military. Mm-hmm. But you can never replace actually being there, boots on the ground, right? Right. So for you to take a veteran on an honor flight like that and go to DC and see those memorials and stuff, for both of you, it had to be pretty emotional.
It's honestly, it's humbling. It really is to be a part of something like that. And, like you said, yeah, I've been in combat and I've seen it, but I don't allow myself to reflect on half the stuff I've done and seen. So being in a place like that around men that have done that for a little bit, I really let myself kind of reflect and feel it, and seeing their emotions pour out. Even at 90 years old, they still have such strong feelings about it. I mean, it's a life changing.
I remember hearing a project that they're trying to do video to document all that, and one of the things they're finding is vets like yourself that been in combat have a certain connection with some of our older folks that have been in combat, and so if they just sit down like this with two people in a microphone having a conversation, that is priceless. You can't buy that type of footage.
Right.
But even like you sitting in front of a microphone and a camera talking about your experience that gets vaulted away, that 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now, other young Marines, young, airmen and those guys can talk, because PTSD has been around forever, even though it was never labeled that kind of stuff, but use it as a healing tool for our men and women that are, been in that crap. And it's just, I know there's a project out there to do it, but I don't know that it's got a lot of traction or a lot of funding.
Yeah.
So
it had such honestly, if we went out to my truck in your driveway right now and we open up my center console, I have probably 4, 5 pictures of me with my veteran down there. And when I'm having one of those days, or I'm just like, why the hell am I doing this? Like, this is ridiculous. I just pull it out and I take a look, and it lets myself kind of remember and feel those emotions again. And I'm like, okay, and it's a good charge. I mean, so I don't have very many pictures in my truck, but I have myself with my veteran.
What's amazing too, because if you I just remember my dad. He's a old Sicilian dude, and his grandfather. Men having emotion towards anything, especially something like that, just isn't acceptable as it is today. But I think being able to give back and to help, those people that are struggling through those things, because we all handle it differently, right?
Yeah, and we might get into it later, but while we're on the subject, so I was so impressed with Talons Out honor flights that we're doing a huge golf outing in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're taking some of that money, and I'm sponsoring to fly 10 veterans down there
that is
ourselves.
Awesome.
Yeah,
nice.
So I've spoken with the director of honor flights. They're on board. So here in a couple weeks, we're going to start doing some call-outs. We're going to be looking for 10 World War II or Korean veterans to be taken down to DC.
That
And
is so
so
awesome.
some of our funds are going to be going directly to that.
That is
So,
incredible.
Yeah,
that organization is so valuable for these guys, because otherwise a lot of these guys won't go and experience it.
Yeah.
When we walked into the World War II memorial, it was the next day after that rally I was talking about, and there was trash all over the place.
Oh man.
There was a Mountain Dew bottle floating in the fountain, and I mean, it just broke my heart.
Oh yeah.
Right? So there was one park ranger there trying to clean up and stuff. So a bunch of us helped clean up a little bit and stuff, but it just broke my heart, because this unity rally of we're one nation, and we'll pick up one piece of trash and throw it away, But instead they just left their trash everywhere.
Right.
So, but when I pushed Bob there, I was pushing him in his wheelchair, and we were going around, and he had been, like the mini series of Pacific, he lived that, right? He did the island hopping, he did all that. He actually got his Purple Heart on. Funny story how he got his Purple Heart on Saipan. I'll tell you in a second. If getting a Purple Heart can be funny, his is funny, right? So I pushed him in front of the wall, the reflecting pond wall with the stars on it.
Yeah.
And I could tell he went to a place so I just left him alone. And he was up there, and I could see he was nodding his head and shaking his head. And, I could tell from behind he was going through a lot of emotion. And then he just waved me, like, all right, let's go to the next thing to see, And, but it was so emotional. And so real quick, he was on Saipan. We were sitting down one day talking, and at a Marine Corps League pancake breakfast up in Pentwater, we were selling raffle tickets. We're sitting at a table, And I said, hey, Bob, it was Memorial Day weekend. And I said, oh, you going parade? You going to do the parade tomorrow? And he's old enough to where he rides in a Jeep on a trailer and stuff in the parade. Yeah, I said, oh, it might rain. He goes, yeah, it's rained a couple times on us. I remember one year it rained really hard on us. And I just said kind of flippantly, that's not rain. You know what real rain is, you know. So he says, yeah, you're right. I do know what real rain is. He says, one time on Saipan, it did not stop raining for 45 days. 45 days, nonstop rain. He said they were losing boots in the mud.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing. He said he went out on a patrol this one time, a bunch of guys, and they were going out on a patrol, and they saw a grass hut, like a little hut. And they went up and investigated, and it was empty. So they all went in there. There was like 10, 11 guys piled in there. They were taking off their clothes, hanging it up, because it was dry in there. And they had some guys on on lookout and stuff, but they were just in there relaxing for like 3-4 hours, trying to stay out of the rain. And they saw a Japanese patrol coming. And they were like, oh man, what are we gonna do here? And so they all kind of stood up, because they could just fire right through the grass wall. So they said, well, if they get too close, we'll engage. Well, they stopped, turned around, and went another way. They actually went towards the basically the fire base where they were coming, so they were going to get engaged anyway. But the guys inside were like, all right, if we don't have to go out, we're staying in. We're staying out of the rain for a couple more hours. Yeah. So he woke up one morning, and he had to go to the bathroom. So what they had was just a big hole in the ground with a log over it, right? So he goes over and they sit on the log, and they get attacked. The base gets attacked, and rounds are flying. And I said, what would you do? Because I had to make a decision. I said, well, yeah. He goes, I could stay here, sitting here, and get shot, or I could jump in the hole.
I was gonna say, there's definitely right there. Yeah.
So I said, well, what'd you do? He goes, well, I jumped in the hole. And he said, as he fell into the hole, because it was a pretty big hole. He says, as he was going down, a bullet straight right across the top of his head, wounded him. Like gave him a reverse mohawk, took his scalp right off.
You're kidding me.
So had he not made that split second decision to go, it's coming right.
Yeah.
So he tells the story of like, I got a Purple Heart for jumping in a pile of, in a hole full of crap. So that's how he tells it. But that was a pretty big, split second decision like that.
Oh yeah.
And he wouldn't have been around to tell this story, So pretty amazing man. But there's things like that, little things like that you'll hear from uncles or grandfathers or whatever that are just amazing stories.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when we were down in DC, we hit the Korean Memorial, which the Korean Memorial.
Oh, it's hauntingly awesome.
It is haunting. And
it is just awesome, but haunting.
It rained on us the entire day that we were down there, and there wasn't one complaint. There wasn't one anything about it. These vets, they did not even care. Yeah. So they were passing out ponchos, like just little clear plastic ponchos, and so these veterans were throwing their ponchos on, and my veteran, Richard, he's walking around. It's raining pretty good. You walk up to the Korean Memorial, and there's the patrol going through right there, and it's so lifelike. Mm-hmm. You feel like you're there, and
it is amazing.
There's wind blowing their ponchos, and their ponchos are blowing, and we were in the storm again. Yeah, and so I got pictures of him standing at the front of the patrol, just standing there with it raining and his poncho blowing, and it
just like the statue.
Oh yeah,
just amazing.
Yeah, it was
that memorial. A group or whoever, they put some serious thought into that memorial. And they thought of things that are just like there's 19 statues, right? And there's a wall next to them with a bunch of engravings and things on it. And the 19 reflect, right, in the wall. Well, 19th parallel, right, in Korea. Mm. So it's just all that stuff comes together. Every emotion on the statue's face the faces of each one of those 19 statues captures a different emotion.
Yeah, you have to take your time and look at all the faces.
Yeah, it's just they put so much thought into that that it is absolutely an amazing memorial. The tree, they're coming up kind of a slight hill out of the trees and stuff, so it looks like they're coming up out of a jungle. It's absolutely an amazing memorial.
Yeah,
it was. All the memorials are amazing. Even the Air Force Memorial that we went to by the Pentagon was absolutely amazing. These huge,
I looked up
spears.
and I got vertigo and
it's amazing.
Yeah, and that one is built in the flight path of the plane that hit the Pentagon. They built that on purpose, I believe. Yeah, like
and it goes up like I think
300.
Yeah, it's amazing how they're big, huge, like almost like spikes kind of thing, but coming up that are all different heights, and they're all like stainless steel. It's just gorgeous. That was actually dedicated. I think that was the last one built because I think that was in 2006. I think George Bush dedicated that one. So it took that long to get an Air Force memorial. The Navy memorial is kind of like down in the middle of town. It's like in a courtyard in between some buildings. But that too is pretty amazing.
Right.
And then you got the Iwo Jima Memorial. And
Yeah.
It's if you've never been down to just go on a tour in DC of the memorials and things, not to mention the White House and other things, it's an amazing trip. That would
Yeah.
be. I advise everyone to be able to do it, especially if you have kids. Take your kids, teach them some of this stuff, because it's our nation's capital, and whatever you think about the nation's capital, there's some awesome stuff there to be able to see and some
Yeah,
history.
and if you can get a good book that either tells you all about the city and each monument, memorial,
Right.
or get a tour guide that knows
Yeah.
what they're talking about, because there's so much depth in why they built everything the way that they did. I mean, if you don't hear about it, you'll never know it, and you
Right.
won't understand it. Right?
There's some that you won't even find if you don't have somebody or a book or something
Yeah.
to tell you where to go.
Our tour guide was saying stuff that blew me away. I wish I brought a recorder, and I went home and I was trying to tell my girlfriend Sarah. I was like, "Well, they built this because of this, and this because of this, and this lines up with the." I mean, it is
Yep.
a lot of thought process went into that city.
One of the Roosevelts, Teddy Roosevelt, one of the Roosevelts has a memorial, and when they came to him and said, "We want to make a memorial for you," he said, "It'll be no bigger than my desk." So I think it's in front of the FBI building or something. There's just I don't even know what kind of stone it is, but it's just a block that looks like a desk, and that's it, and his name's on it, and that's his memorial. He said, "My memorial would be no bigger than my desk that I sat behind as president." And then, sure enough, that's what they
awesome.
did. Yeah, it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you went into the Marine Corps.
Right out of
You
high school.
did become a sniper.
Yep.
You were in 2-5, I believe.
Yeah.
Second
So
battalion, fifth
I
Marines?
stayed with the whole battalion my entire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yep. So I was with 1-3 and 3-3. I got stationed in Hawaii. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But and then in between there, I went from 1-3 to 3-3, and in between was like 8-month stint on a rifle range teaching marksmanship.
Yep. Yep.
And then, but I had one of my best friend that I went in the Marine Corps with was in 2-5, so he had the whole French
Oh, yeah.
Fourget and all that.
Yeah,
This is the only unit
those
that can
look
wear it.
good. Yeah. those
from
look
World War.
good.
That's from World War II, right?
Yeah.
I believe, or World War I or World War II.
I believe World War One.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's one.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
how many years in the Marine Corps?
4 years.
4 years in the Marine Corps, and you got out and went to college. Came back home.
Yeah, honestly, I never joined to make a career out of it. A lot of friends and family, they always thought I was going to join and make
Career
a career.
guy.
Yeah, that was never felt that. I didn't go to get free college. I honestly, I just wanted to go. I wanted the excitement. I wanted to see if I could do it. I remember going to the recruiter and, when I was old enough and telling him, yeah, I'm going to be a Marine Corps sniper. And, everyone says that. Everyone says
Everyone
that.
wants to be recon.
Yeah, get in line. And then I went and I took all the tests, and they were like, you don't want to do that. You want to do something over here. And, they were trying to push me towards, like, intelligence and, I guess stuff where I had to use my brain and, do all that. And I remember being like, that sounds absolutely terrible.
Yes. Why would I do that?
That sounds terrible. Yeah. And they were like, well, you do understand that you're going to be intense and in the mud. Yes.
That's exactly what I wanted.
Sign me up
Why
now.
I'm here. Yeah, exactly.
So I remember they tried to get me to do an open contract. I said, nope, not at all. I want that 11.
Guaranteed, yeah.
I have to have that 11 spot. So went in, did all that. But I got to deploy 3 times. But, I just wanted to go. I wanted to do my part, especially I remember exactly where I was September 11th.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because you actually graduated in 2003.
Yeah.
So September 11th already happened.
No, I missed the big push, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
so 9/11 happens. What are you thinking?
Honestly, I wasn't one of those guys that was like, I'm going to go fight now. I already knew I was going.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to go into the
plans.
military, yeah, but, there wasn't technically a war going on at that point. So when it did happen, all of a sudden, you pucker up a little bit. You're like, well, I'm not changing my plans here. I'm going for it.
If anything, that reinforced
either way,
them.
yeah. So, I got in a little bit of trouble in high school, and I remember it, it almost kept me from getting into the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And that was a life-changing event. It really was.
That was a pucker moment where you're like, oh,
That was
boy.
a big pucker moment. Yep, my junior year of high school, I got in a little bit of trouble, and I remember, even my parents sitting me down and being like, hey, if you're gonna go and do this route, like, you had better lock it on, boy.
Yeah.
So okay, so that steered me clear, but I was able to get in. But to September 11th, it really did have a even now I remember exactly where I was walking down the hallway to Mr. Shantz's class, and I remember sitting down, and he was a very, very smart guy, and we're all watching it on the TV, and I remember he walked up to the board and he goes, I think it's this guy. And I remember he wrote Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden on the board. And I remember sitting back, never seen those names, never heard of that person, had no idea what he was talking about. But that was the very first time I ever saw the name Osama bin Laden and remember it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, that was my first experience with, that evil that we're still chasing today.
Pure evil.
So, yeah, it is.
So boot camp.
Yeah.
So you're in boot camp during war.
Yeah, I was in boot camp, and again, this is going back a ways, 14, 15 years, but I am pretty darn sure that I was in boot camp, and I remember our senior drill instructor sitting us down and telling us, we got him. And I remember thinking, like, what? And he goes, we found Saddam. And I believe that I was in boot camp when they found him in that hole.
Rabbit hole, yep.
And I remember being like, well, that stinks. I missed the war.
Yeah, like, what the hell?
Yeah, I remember being like, well, that really sucks. I'm so close to getting to
Thinking
go
that's
do my
over
thing.
and-
Yeah. And that was, just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Just the beginning, yeah. But
I still can picture that. See the picture of them pulling him out,
That
and just seeing
dirty-
his face,
yeah,
and it's
the
like
dirty
how
rat in the
fitting that
hole.
you're in a little hole
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
Um,
But so went out of boot camp, and I remember sitting there after boot camp. You go to School of Infantry, and you graduate School of Infantry, and then everyone, there's 90, 100 guys, and they start calling off your orders what units you're going to go to. And I remember them saying, anybody that gets called out and is going to go to 2-5, you're only going right up and over this hill
Seabag drag
to San Mateo. Yep, you're going to go up and over this hill to San Mateo, and you're going to Iraq.
Yeah.
And I remember my heart was like, doom, 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 doom. I was like, 2-5, give me 2-5, give me 2-5. So they start calling off, guys and which battalions they're going to, and they say PFC McDaid. And I said 2-5. I just remember my mom's gonna be so mad. Yes, but I got 2-5, and so they shipped a whole bunch of us to buses, and we went right up and over the hill, and we met our units and started training.
The
and
Seabag drag, because you got to go on Pendleton. You got to stay on Pendleton.
Yeah, and they told us, they're like, in 7 months, you guys are going for it, boys, and we're like, okay.
See, I was super excited because they called off. You were 0311.
Yeah.
So, which is basic infantry, and then I was 0351.
Oh, yeah.
So my buddy Dave got 0311, and he got 2-5. So same thing. And I was hoping for 0351 or 52, which was 0351's an anti-tank assault, and you kind of shoot a bazooka.
Everybody likes that job.
Blow up demolitions. And stuff. I got to blow up a lot of stuff in the Marine Corps. And then 0352 was a tow gunner, which is nice because you ride around on Humvees, right? So you don't have to walk.
Yeah.
We had to walk. I got 0351. But I really wanted it because it was in Hawaii, and that meant I got to go home for 10 days.
Yeah.
After school of infantry.
Yeah.
So that was the only reason I wanted it, was I wanted to be able to go home. But anyway, when I was in, we did boot camp, then we did MCT, Marine Combat Training, and I think they've rolled that into boot camp now, I think. So when you were up in Pendleton, you had how long were you up at Pendleton for the rifle range?
For SOI? Or
the
actual shooting portion? Oh, they call that phase 2, and I think it's like a month.
Yeah, so it was like 2 weeks for us. Okay. So, because I think you do some other combat training up there, right?
Yeah, that's where you learn your small unit tactics.
Yeah, the 203s and all that. Yeah. So when I was in the, which was a lot, we discussed that, it was a long time ago. There was Marine combat training that everybody went to after boot camp.
Yeah.
And then you went to your schools.
Yeah.
And Marine combat training was literally, the Quonset's were right next to the School of Infantry. So it was right there. Okay, so School of Infantry, onto your unit at 2-5, and how long till you deployed?
7 months.
7 months.
So they kicked us right out, and I think I actually met up with my unit when we were out at 29 Palms. They had just gotten back from Iraq, and they came home. They were coming off leave, and I think I met up with my unit out at 29 Palms. So they shipped us off the desert. And I remember sitting there, and there's like 20 of us new guys that are looking for a home. We just need a squad and a fire team. Give us something. And all these 7-tons pull up, and these dudes just start jumping off, and I'm like, these guys just got back from Iraq. I'm a scared little high school boy. What am I doing? And I met my squad leader and my team leader, and who my fire team was, and it was actually a guy that they put in my fire team was a guy from Michigan. I flew to boot camp with him.
Yeah, nice.
We hated each other in the beginning. Honestly, God, we
That's how it works.
We did not get along from the flight to boot camp, and then he was in my squad. I was a squad leader in boot camp. He was in my squad in boot camp. We did not get along. As soon as we graduated, we went to SOI. We started rubbing shoulders a little bit, and we went to our unit. I mean, he's still my best friend.
Yeah.
What's up, Joey?
That's
How
crazy.
you doing? I love you, buddy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's how it works too.
Yeah, so I went around the world with this guy from Bridgman. I mean, he's just
awesome.
from Bridgman. But so yeah, met up. I ended up doing 7 months build up, with these guys. We deployed. So my first deployment, I was infantry, and I was a point man, and then they threw a radio on my back, so I was point man and radio operator. And so I had some decent responsibility, which was great. I'm glad I got to do that.
So you were Iraq? Was it?
Yeah,
Is Iraq?
yeah, we went right to Ramadi, Iraq. Yeah. Oh, I know.
What year was that?
That was
04,
we went
05?
there September 04.
So a little before this story of extreme ownership. Jocko Willink, Leif Babins.
Reading that blew me away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it makes your hair stand up sometimes when the pictures and the buildings. It's just like, gosh.
You were there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's really around the time that it really started getting bad.
It was
like it really became
that was
between that time frame and when they got there, that was like hell on earth.
Right. Well, see, I didn't know if it was bad or not because it was my first
trip. You didn't have anything.
So I'm like, okay, this is a normal deployment.
It is what it is. Yeah.
We went hard for 7 months. And I think I was like 19. I think I turned 20 over there. And we lived in some pretty bad conditions. We made the best of it. Honestly, we made the best of it. I wouldn't have changed a single thing about that first deployment, but I can say that first deployment, it set me up for success because I had such an amazing squad. Our squad was incredible. I mean, the way that we moved, the way that we thought, the way that when we needed to, the way that we fought, and we were called the Cowboy Squad for a reason. And whenever something needed to take place, people didn't like us. We were a little bit cocky. Yeah. We didn't necessarily care about haircuts and shaves and stuff like that. We were there for a reason. And my squad leader and team leader and my fire team was absolutely incredible. So we did a lot. And it was there that I really learned my small unit tactics, and I really learned, like the scheme of things. And being a radio operator, I got to listen to, how a unit commander moves squad platoons, and
what they're thinking.
Yeah, and my squad leader was world class. He absolutely world class. And so I got to see him perform, and I was there learning. Because I knew that I'm not going to be a point man, lance corporal forever.
Right. Absolutely.
My job is to gain knowledge from this and move forward. But and everyone knew I wanted to be a sniper. So at any chance, I used to go out and hang out with the snipers in their platoons, and we go out and do some missions with them. And I remember sitting in the trucks, as we were going out and looking at their sniper rifles and looking at my gun, and being like, gosh, that's
the gear.
That's the one I want.
They had even a little better gear.
Oh yeah,
a little step up, and
just picking their brain, and hearing my squad would be like, hey, we're gonna go on a patrol. Hey, snipers are in this position. I'm like,
that should be
I want to be up there, but and then seeing the damage that they did, and seeing what
they brought. I mean, they brought what
they
bring to the table.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, and the feeling that we get knowing that we're going out
and you got them
on patrol into the unknown, but not necessarily because the snipers have been out there for a day or 2 days, and they know the baseline, they know what's going on. So they really do.
They got their avenues, and they know. They can steer, and
So,
it's an amazing
I knew right then. So I remember talking to them. When we were getting ready to come home after a couple months. We were a couple months out. I remember talking with them and being like, hey, like what are some things I can start doing to get ready, because it's going down. It's going down. Yeah. And there was a lot of people from our battalion that were going to try out. So I think there was like 50 or 60 guys that wanted to try out, and I was like, okay, what can I do? And they all said the same thing. They were like, when you go home, don't get in trouble. Yeah, just don't
stay clean.
Stay clean.
Stay clean.
Yep. Don't get in trouble. Train.
Physically, you can do it. Mentally, you gotta stay clean.
So that was the beginning of wanting to take that transition into the sniper platoon.
So it's interesting because you talked about hanging out with the stay guys and stuff. And, surveillance target acquisition, stay. When I was in the Marine Corps way back when, a lot of the guys in our stay platoon came from I was in Dragons, right? So we shot this old wire guided missile, Vietnam era wire-guided missile to where after you launched it, you had to actually keep
Right.
the crosshairs on the target. And that meant the enemy knew where it came from and they could just zero in on you. Now they have the javelins and the laser guide and everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we were kind of that there was really no call for a dragon gunner anymore. It was more demolitions and stuff. But anyway, so a lot of the guys in our state platoon came from our platoon, so we knew them all. So we always hung out with them.
Right.
And we had this big platoon or battalion size exercise over on the Big Island in Hawaii. And the Dragon platoon was always designated as the enemy platoon.
Yes.
Because we really didn't have
Yeah.
a mission. So we got to just play war. you
Yeah,
know?
we got to do that sometimes,
We had
yeah.
rank didn't matter. We took our insignias off. We had all
Uh-huh.
kinds of. We had all this extra gear that we had bought at Army, Navy surplus stores and stuff. We were wearing all this stuff. So we're doing a night patrol one time down the road, and there's like 13 of us. And we stop. We do a security halt. We take a head count. There's 13 of us. We move on. We stop a few minutes later, do a head count. There's 15 of us, and immediately we're like, all right, jackasses, get up here. You know, so two guys from the state platoon had slipped into our patrol. Like in the middle of the night. We didn't even see them come into our patrol. We pulled them, jackasses, you know, because we're all buddies and stuff.
Right.
And we're like, he's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're going up to attack the battalion CP. So we had penetrated deep into the, it was like a 7-day exercise. We killed our battalion commander like 5 times. And the last time we killed him, a captain came out and said, look, we're trying to plan a dry fire or a live fire for tomorrow morning in here. We get it.
Yeah.
You've killed him 5 times. Get the hell out of here. You know, so it was funny. But anyway, so we're like, well, what's the password and challenge and stuff, you know? And they wouldn't give it up. And we're like, you got to give it up. I'm like, no, we're not giving it up. But anyway, it was funny. So you get back from your first deployment, and it was what you said, 7 months.
Yeah, I think
7
we
months.
did right around 7 months.
So you get back-
September 04 to March 05. And it was a ripper. I mean, we lost, our battalion, I think, lost 15 guys and right around, gosh, I want to say like 230 plus wounded or somewhere's in there. Yeah, I mean, it was a
heavy-
deployment. It was a
heavy
real
stuff.
deployment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get back and you want to do the stay and dock. So you want to go try out for stay. How long between when you got back and?
So we get back and, you know, then I went on about a month leave, and as soon as I came back, my squad leader was like, hey, like, you need to make a decision. Like, are you going to take over my job and go to squad leader course, or are you going to go away from us and go do sniper school? I said, no, time to break away. So tryouts were like a week or two after we got back.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
right away.
maybe it's
Right
immediate.
away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, was this because they had to replace guys? People were getting
Well,
out?
yeah, a lot of those guys were getting out. Plus, we had a fast op tempo, so we knew we're not home for a while.
You gotta turn around, yeah.
So these boys got to get in there, and we got to start training them so we can kick them out for the next deployment.
Right.
So came back and started the in doc, and I couldn't tell you how many people tried out. There's a ton of people tried out. You know, I didn't really care about them. You know, I was just there to try to get through it, and they ended up weaning it down to a handful of guys.
Yeah, it's
And-
not like I remember when I was in. It was no joke. It was a week. At least when I was in years ago, it was a whole week of. It was like a hell week.
I don't think that we made it a week, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I thought it was gonna be because we had just been on a real combat
you're
deployment
coming
with
off,
these guys. Yeah, and you know, some of these guys were holding security for the snipers, and you know, there was a night over there, you know, where a sniper team got hit hard and killed a couple of the guys in the team, and you know, we were out there, our squad was out there, and I mean, so we were very intimate with these guys, you know.
Absolutely.
So now they're beating us up, you know, and so I always wondered like how they looked at it, but I don't think they didn't hold back. You know? They know
they know there's a job.
Yeah, so if they go easy, well, then they're not getting the right guys.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Exactly
so
right.
you know, they brought the heat on us, and they started weaning a lot of guys out. And the guys that made it, they shipped us from San Mateo down the road to what's it called? Palega. There's a little tiny, couple miles away called Palega, and it's just a bunch of Kwanzaa huts, and they say where nobody can hear you scream.
Yeah.
And that was the start.
Setting the tone.
Yeah, so that was the start of it. And
Was it mostly physical?
it was physical, but a lot of mental too.
Was it
I mean,
too
yeah,
mental?
they wanted you to be able to think.
Yeah.
You know, so
Under pressure and under
oh yeah, you know,
exhaustion
and lots of memorization. You know, they teach you to start really taking what you see, boom, burning it in there, and then being able to basically regurgitate it out.
Yeah.
Because it's our job to see stuff and to be able to tell somebody so that they
Absolutely.
can build a mission or an operation off of what we see.
Sure.
So, you know, they really worked that. They did a lot of field craft stuff. I remember doing lots of stalks. They destroyed us in our ghillie suits. I remember, you know, they give you like one night to make a ghillie suit, 1 or 2 nights to make a ghillie suit. And so you show up and all ghillie suits look differently, and mine had way too much burlap and jute on it. I just looked like a mossy
Like out of a
beast. Yeah,
video game. Yeah.
biggest mistake ever, you know. And so they take you down to this pond, and they destroy you, and they push you around, and they make you swim to the pond. You're on your back. It's for a purpose, though. They want you to break your ghillie suit in. Naturally, like right out of the box, stuff's got shine on it.
Yeah,
so they want you to get rid of that shine.
Yeah.
Plus, it gives us an opportunity to see where our weaknesses are, whether the glue's not holding or the fabric's not holding the webbing and netting. But I jumped into the pond, and they, were rolling around in the sand, and I came out, and I was like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
This
absorbed it all.
and it hooked me, and that was the one time I remember almost falling out, like not being able to just complete this run, and it was just because I was so heavy.
Yeah.
But ended up, finishing it. You have to finish it, so
Sure.
you suck it up and you do it. But
You get after it and get
yep. And I don't remember exactly how many guys were going through this, but maybe 8 or 10 to 12 maybe. But even through that phase, we did lose a couple guys. But they started to build a pretty good team of young guys that were going through all this. And then they sent us to a pre-sniper school, which is I think it was a newer thing, but it was a month-long school to get you ready for the true division school.
Yeah.
So
which is no joke.
Yeah.
Even back when I was in never
right.
no
And
joke.
I think that's why they built the preschools, because maybe they were having problems with people performing well.
Yep.
So they gave us.
And the expectation is if you come to that school, you're
ready.
performing.
Yeah, you have already been weaned out from
Yep.
all the way back here, from all across the country.
Yeah,
People
they're not
come in.
babysitting it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if they send 25, 26 guys there,
They expect those
at that point we put a lot of time, sweat equity, and money into it.
Yep.
So you're going to perform. So we went to pre-sniper school. We lost some guys there, just for stupid stuff. I mean, people, not writing toots, tactical employment with troops. Not doing stupid stuff. And it just. But hey, if they're not going to do it there, they're not going to do it in real life. Yeah. So
right.
I love you to death, bro, but you got to go.
Yep.
And so once pre-sniper school was done, they sent three of us got slots. They picked 3 of us, and they sent us to the big sniper school on Camp Pendleton. And I remember finally sitting down and being told, like, hey, like, you get to go for it. And it was like this years and years and years of picturing this and dreaming this and staying out of trouble for this and working for this. And, it was finally happening.
In front of you.
And I remember packing my gear list and getting ready to go, and like, this is it. This is going to happen. So they sent 3 of us there. And, at that point I was super close with the guys, and showed up, and, sniper school, it's demanding.
Oh, yeah.
It's demanding in so many ways. Physically, mentally, and you're tired. They're always under stress, but I mean, it's such a good school. They did such a good job getting you ready for what you're going to experience. And at that point, there's already been a couple deployments.
Yeah, so they've already probably readjusted.
So they're getting their
training
after actions, and they're
Yep.
tweaking and learning and tweaking and learning.
Yeah.
It went from like always training out, stalking and shooting, in wooded positions and hills and stuff like that, and building these FFPs, final firing positions, and to urban.
Yep.
So they were building these big fake cities. They had like Hollywood or somebody come in and build these huge fake cities that, out of Connex boxes and mud huts, and to make it real so that we could train for what we're going to do. So the school went on and graduated from that, and went back to my unit, and I was like, finally, I think I was a corporal at that point.
Yeah.
So I was a corporal. I was a sniper section leader, and I get a team. And then they're like, oh yeah, but you're deploying. You're going to Japan, and we're going to put you through an urban sniper. It was all like special operations training group. So I got to go through that urban sniper school, advanced reconnaissance course, like a lock picking course, I think, and some other stuff. But so I went before 2-5 deployed.
Yeah.
So I went there.
Where'd you go? Like Hanson? Camp Hanson?
To Okinawa. Yep.
But to Camp Hanson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I went. Myself and it was like three or four other guys. We went to these schools, and we had to pass in order for our battalion to be qualified to go on a MEU.
Yeah.
Because they had to have snipers that could shoot from helicopters. So the urban sniper school, we were trained how to shoot from helicopters and talk to pilots and being able to just tell ships or ground troops what was going on. So there was a lot that depended on us qualifying and passing, and we all passed.
Yeah.
We all did it. So then our battalion met up with us, and then they took myself and a couple other guys, and they attached us to, I think it was 3rd Recon over there. So now I'm a sniper working in an amphibian reconnaissance team which was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, these guys, they're professional. They're badass.
Yeah.
Honestly, they are, and
So
so
that's-
smart.
So that's like, and so you have like conventional forces, which is just like the infantry, and you have some specialties within the infantries and stuff like that. But now you start getting into the you start getting into recon, and you start getting into the SEALs and special forces and things like those guys are cut. I mean, not a cut above. That's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, which was interesting, when you were over there, the living conditions and everything, and it was rough and everything. So Jocko and Leif talk about being stationed in Ramadi, working with the conventional units, the Army and the Marines, and the respect that they gained because they're SEALs, and so they got the best of the best of the best gear. I mean, whatever they want, they have, and they get, and they have great combat zone quarters, you know. And they said they gained so much respect for conventional forces because of the living conditions and of the discipline they still had to maintain and everything else. And then he spoke. Obviously, they had snipers with Chris Kyle was one of his snipers.
Yeah.
And the Overwatch positions and the snipers and the value, like immense value. They took back the city pretty much because of these Overwatch positions and things like that. So when you started talking about that, I'm thinking of these stories in the book. You mentioned you were carrying a radio for a while. Mm-hmm. Someone asked Jocko one time, what position in a SEAL team would you want the most? And they were thinking a machine gunner or something. You know, he said radio. Radio? Why do you want to haul around a radio? You know, it doesn't seem like real glamorous, you know? He's like, because I know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So you said you learned from that. You
Oh,
said
yeah, big
from
time.
learning, just from carrying the radio, you learned.
Yeah, plus it taught me, you know, I remember, because our squad, we used to go on some crazy patrols. And, you know, I had to know the routes. I had to know the checkpoints. I had to know phase lines. And so
You had to have
I had to be
contingency
clear
plans.
enough, no matter what was going on, to call in checkpoints, call in pause reps, call in sit reps, and let, you know, our base or FOB or whatever you want to call it, our huts, know what was going on. So even, you know, under fire, when there was stuff going on,
you had to be calm.
I had to perform.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to
He
perform.
mentioned that too, about how they were with an Army unit and they got into a really heavy engagement, and the Army guys were like screaming and yelling on the radio, and nobody knew what was going on. And so he called his SEAL guy that was attached to him and calmly said, "What's going on?" And the SEAL guy came back and said, "We got this going on. We got this going on. We got this going on." Nice call. No, they're not like, "Oh yeah, Sunday afternoon conversation," but clear, concise, get to the point, get the information in there. And so that's a skill you had to develop.
Even now, my girlfriend laughs at me because at certain points, the way I talk and the way that I pronunciate stuff,
just be bam.
It's bam. Like when I'm giving somebody my credit card information over the phone or an address,
It's very direct.
the way that I enunciate my letters and my syllables, it is so because I used to talk.
Did that training?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you got when you hit 3rd Reconnaissance.
Yeah.
So you were still stateside, or were you?
No, we were.
Okay,
so we were overseas. So we were out of Camp Hansen, Okinawa, but we went on a MU. So I got attached to these recon bubbas, and honestly, I thought that we could drink a lot.
Yeah.
These guys could drink. Yeah. We worked hard, we trained hard, but whenever we got a couple days off, just keeping up with these guys, oh my God, they were monsters. And so we went around and we went to Korea, we went to the Philippines, Thailand, and, you know, we would work with you know, I remember in Thailand we got to work with some of their forces, and we would teach them stuff, and, you know, we were teaching them how to use bolt guns and showing them some of our gear and our methods, and then they taught us jungle survival, you know, so they would bring out cobras, and, you know, they'd teach us how to catch cobras, and, you know, they teach us how to live off the jungle, where to find water, and, you know, and it was just, you know, sharing techniques. Then we went to Korea, and, you know, we taught them a bunch of stuff, and then they taught us how to rock climb. The rock Marines, the Korean rock Marines.
They're badass.
They're badass. They are hardcore.
We got to train with some of them in Hawaii, and they were we thought we were doing some pretty heavy duty stuff in Hawaii, and they're like, what is this? You know, come to Korea, we'll show you.
Gosh, Korea was a lot of fun. I remember we had like a day off, and I kept seeing these pheasants flying everywhere. There was pheasants over there, and so I was like. So I've got so many pictures and videos of us, and I went out into the woods and I cut down and I built a slingshot, and we used bungee cord, and we've got I got a big scar right here on my thumb.
Oh yeah.
I was sawing my and that was from making a slingshot. And I was out there
Eat some pheasant.
hunting pheasant in Korea. You make the best of any situation you have. But so I went around the world with these guys, and I learned a ton. I got to see their mentality, how they approach situations, how they operate, and we did a lot of stuff where we're supposed to be blended completely into the civilian populace. So we're in full civvies, and we're carrying, whether it's golf bags or something like that, with our rifles in it, and we get into the buildings. We're building urban hides, and those guys, they're amazing. They can build any sort of radio. They can build antennas. They're tapping into the house wires to push frequencies. I mean, the stuff that the capabilities that
it's so much more advanced than just the regular infantry.
Just again, sponge. Yeah, I'm a sniper. Yeah, I've been through urban sniper school. Honestly,
you're still learning.
Even I'm still down here, and every single person that you meet, and different step up. There's so much knowledge and information, and so like. Your uncle, for example, like the stuff that these guys learn. I mean, if you go in with, I got it.
Ego.
You're
ego,
not going anywhere.
You got to check your ego.
You're not
absolutely.
going anywhere. So, and that's one thing. It's weird talking about myself, honestly, because most guys that have been able to go through a lot of this stuff I have, that's not something that we do.
Right.
Honestly, it's really not something that we
That's
do.
same thing with the SEALs and stuff. It's like, it's one of those unwritten rules, if you will, that you don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
These guys are starting to talk more and more about it,
right.
but it's really the guys that have earned the right to talk about it. So similar thing is, it isn't, because you may talk about something that is okay, that's a great story or anything, but you never know what things are said that somebody might pick up on.
Right.
And so you got to be real careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when you deployed the second time to a combat zone,
I was.
Was it Iraq again?
After the MEU, we came home and we were supposed to get out. I'd done my time. I think the way I remember, like the amount of after I came home from the MEU, that deployment was like 10 or 11 months. I mean, that was a long one because we went before the battalion to do all that stuff. And when I came home, I think I was supposed to get out. And we were like, what type of jobs we're gonna do? They're gonna FAP us out, or they're gonna move us somewhere. We're just whether we're going to go to the rifle range, or we're just going to be working the armory, basically just buying your time to get out. And then they came back and they told us, like, hey, we got our orders. 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines is supposed to deploy to Ramadi again in 7 months. And a lot of us, we had, it felt like unfinished business to go. So they asked us, they're like, you guys.
Well, because that was, now you're talking the same time frame these guys were there.
Yeah, so we would have gone, we went back to Ramadi in March of 2007.
Oh, okay, so right after this.
So it was late 2006 when they told us all that, hey, you can either get out or you can extend and go back to Ramadi. And honestly, when they asked us, they said, who here is going to extend to go back? Almost every single hand in that room went up. And these are guys, they've been there and done that. Sure. And because they told us, they're like, if you guys don't go, none of the juniors below you have really seen combat and been there. We're sending
kids,
a whole new crew. Yeah, they've been on a MEU, but that's not a combat deployment. So, we're not depending on you, but like we could use you. And
you can't replace experience.
You cannot.
You just can't.
And so honestly, it was. I think we were sitting in a big auditorium room, and our sergeant major was talking to us, and he goes, "Who wants to go back?" And everybody just put their hands up, and I remember being like, "Once again, Mama's gonna kill me." Mama's gonna kill me. So we decided to go back. Yeah. So we started. So
you were there. In essence, you were there while these guys were there. I mean, 2006, 2007 timeframe.
They were there. I was there before them and after them.
Yeah. Okay. So
those stories happened right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
So the city probably changed quite a bit from your first to your second.
Oh, it changed drastically. Yeah. So my third deployment, the second trip to Iraq, I went over there as a sniper section leader. So I picked my team, and we ended up doing the training and the build up, and went over there, and you go over there. You're getting updates and debriefs of what's happening over there. And, so you're getting a limited idea of what's taking place on the ground, what you can expect. But, fresh in your memory is your first deployment. Even though I was infantry, I still remember.
Still the experience.
It's still there. So you expect to step foot and go back into that. And we hit the ground, and I remember looking at the city, and it had changed so much It was a bombed out. It was a rough
Yeah.
area when we left in March of '04, and then these guys went in, and so many men and women put so much effort into that city, and just fought, and so for 2 years, taking back that city piece by piece by piece, and
Block by
putting
block, yeah.
so much money into it, and just lives and work, and it started to pay off. Honestly, I remember stepping back in March of '07, stepping down, and be like, this is not the Ramadi that I remember.
It was actually, for this book, it was like a real city now.
It
People were out,
really, it
markets
seriously
and-
was. It was.
Yeah.
It was. They had Iraqi
The violence
flags
was way down.
lined in the streets. I mean, like the facilities, the schools. I mean, it was back up and running.
Yeah.
And it was not what we left. There were still pockets of stuff taking
Resistance,
place,
yeah.
but there wasn't anything huge going on like there was that I remembered. And so I went. Now I'm like I'm a professional sniper. I've done this. I've been through all these schools. I've worked with Recon. I'm taking a team over there, and we are gonna go destroy these guys.
Yeah.
And they were hard to find.
Yeah.
They were few and far between. Honestly, it was like
A lot of them had been
oh yeah.
removed.
Yeah, the dumb ones were dead.
Yeah.
Honestly, the dumb ones were dead. There was still stuff taking place, and there was still some IED interdiction stuff that needed to take place, but a lot of the big, ambushes and gunfights, they just weren't there anymore. And
They were having an elsewhere.
it made our job hard as snipers. It really did. We would go weeks and months and put in work, and I prided myself on being a big hunter, and it's the hunting mindset, knowing your target, your enemy, and knowing what their instincts tell them to do, and then using that instinct against them. And you try to build these plans and these missions, and and it was hard. Honestly, it was hard. And then
It was probably really hard to tell who was who too.
yeah, oh yeah, and rules of engagement had
Changed
changed
dramatically.
back before, in 2004 and 5. There, ROEs were loose.
Yeah.
but they needed
well,
to
and
be.
most of the people in that city were bad anyway.
Yeah, they needed to be, yeah.
People that were there still in that city at
Yes.
the time were probably pretty
So,
bad.
and especially being a sniper now, there's a lot of weight and pressure on your shoulder to know who we're engaging and what we're engaging for, and because we're going to have to explain why we did it.
Absolutely.
There's no mistaking anything.
Right.
Our job is a professional observer and professional shooter, and so you can't get out of a mistake if you make one anymore. And so there's a lot of pressure on you, and so people are looking at us like, why aren't you guys out there? Why aren't you dropping bodies? Well, it's hard. It's
Right.
hard. But then sometimes some things do align, and you're able to perform. You're able to do your job, and it has a massive effect on the city when a team of snipers is able to perform and do their job.
Take
And
out some bad guys?
Yeah, the bad guys that ripples throughout the area, and people talk, and people hear, oh yeah, there's some teams of snipers working in and around Ramadi that they're good and they're doing their job, and so you might want to not be messing around out there.
Right.
And so I was in Ramadi, and I think I was there for like 3.5-4 months, and then our battalion, they decided to pull a company and send it to a little town called Karma, because Karma was getting pretty bad. It was the army was getting ready to leave there, and they were getting their noses bloodied. And so they were like, well, we're going to drop a company of Marines in there. And the company that they chose was the company that I came from when I was a grunt. So, I remember there was a big debate between the section leaders, who's going to go, who's going to go, because there wasn't too much happening in Ramadi at the time. Who's going to go and get to go do their job? And I remember thinking like,
These are my boys.
these are my boys. I know every single one of them. Yeah, like I was PFCs, and I was on the streets with these guys, like, I'm going.
Yeah.
So I went.
Yeah.
Yep. So we took, I think it was like 6 or 7 guys, and we went to Karma, and we worked for a while. And that place there was a lot going on. They were just so sneaky, and you got to be on your A game nowadays. I mean, you really do.
Yeah, people think it like I've heard a lot of civilians and stuff talking about what they think they know, right?
No.
What they think they know.
Yeah.
They think, these are just guys. These are ragtag guys that don't know anything, and these
Yeah.
are like even the SEALs talked about these guys adapt and they learn.
Absolutely.
And they watch us as much as we watch them, and
we are always under observation.
Yeah.
You don't leave that base without radios and cell phones going off,
Yeah.
and let people know. I mean, here's a story, for example. I remember I was in a position, and I think that we were getting ready to blow up a bridge, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was looking down this big road, and the sun comes up and I'm watching on this road and I'm getting a good baseline for what's going on, and I start seeing, guys, there's markets everywhere, there's people everywhere, but this one guy kept coming out. He'd walk out and he'd stand there for a little bit and talk to people, and then he'd kind of drag his heel, and you don't pick up on it, but once you see him do it a couple times, you're like, okay,
why is he doing that?
Yeah, he's got a weird gimp every now and then. There's something going on, and you watch this for 5-6 hours, and then you're like, man, this is not right. This he comes out there and he does his thing. And but stuff like that is so hard to pick up on. But that's why they're so hard on you during all your training and your observations and doing all the field skills and stuff. So we did pick up on it. I called in. I'm like, hey, I got a guy. I think he's burying a wire, and I asked, can I engage? And ROEs were so strict. They say no. We're not too sure about that one yet. So we're going to send a squad out there and we're going to go check it out. We're going to capture the guy because they want to start getting intelligence from these guys, which trust me, I'm all for. Yeah. But so they send a squad of Marines out, and the Marines come out there, and these guys, they take off. Sure as heck. Whoop, pick up. Yeah, burying a wire. So these guys are burying a wire over like an 8-hour period.
Yeah.
So
not like trying to do it
no.
nonchalantly.
This isn't Hollywood where a guy in all black with an RPG across his back walks out there with a shovel and starts. No, these guys they are
blend
good.
Right in.
They are
blend
smart.
Right
Yeah. If somebody came to my city of Paw Paw and started doing stuff, I'd be doing what they were doing. Yeah. So, but
that's interesting because they talked a story in here about Chris Kyle was on scope, and he saw movement. He saw what he thought was a guy in a window with a rifle, a scoped rifle. And so he was just watching it, and he not that he didn't trust what he was seeing, but same thing with the rules of engagement and stuff. He's saying, I got to make sure. I got to make sure this is the right thing. So he got Leif, who was his platoon commander, and said, hey, let's watch this guy. Let's call. And Leif started making radio calls saying what's going on and stuff. So over a several-hour period of scoping that window, friendly force.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So,
I remember that story. Honestly, we had some situations like that. I mean, we had.
If he was just, I'm just gonna take this guy out. If you would have just shot. So like if they would have got there and it wasn't a wire and something, and now you're talking in the movie American Sniper where he's got to take out a kid, right? But it was for legitimate reasons, right? But his spotter says if you're wrong, you're going to Leavenworth.
I mean, I remember we were in. I think at this point we were. I believe I was still in Ramadi working, but we had a position and we were looking at the Euphrates River, and there was like a dump. There's like a big trash pile, and there was like a group of teenage-looking kids, and they started digging through it, and then one of them pulls out a pistol and starts coming towards our position where we're hitting his house. And I remember thinking, like, there's no way that this is going to happen. I'm going to do my job if needed, but there's no way. Kept coming. And then we see that him and his buddies, they all had built these fake guns, and they were running around playing war and stuff. But
how ironic is that? In a combat zone, in one of the worst places in the world, the kids are playing guns.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a different... The kids are a little different. Yeah. They're raised differently than ours. Yeah.
Those kids grew up in combat. That's all they've known.
Yeah. Oh, they're tough. They're tough. You throw out a water bottle and they beat the hell out of each other to get this thing. Oh, yeah. I mean, fist fighting and getting hit with bricks is like a daily event.
So that deployment...
Yeah, that was my last one.
So then you came back, you got out of the Marine Corps?
Yeah, I came back and, immediately I turned all my stuff. Yep. And then they regurgitate you out in the civilian world. Yeah, just like that. I signed some papers and home I went.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So
that was October 07.
October 07. So you came back and then decided to go to school?
No, I came back and I lived in my parents' basement, my old bedroom, and I hunted and fished for that whole fall and spent lots of time at bonfires drinking and hanging out with buddies, and I just I took a few months off,
like kind of a decompression.
I was just saying, when you come back,
you have to
decompress.
Oh, if I would have gone straight from the Marine Corps straight into college,
probably wouldn't have been successful.
Yeah, who knows? Honestly, I didn't do it, so who knows? You can game it, but I felt I needed a decompression. Plus,
Sure.
I was like, I'm rich. I got like,
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
I got like 22 grand in
Got
my
a
bank
bank.
account. Yeah, that was the most money I've ever made. I was a sergeant in Iraq, hazard pay, overseas pay, and I was like, I'm rich. So I came home, and you're not rich.
No.
All that money goes
Burns
away.
quick.
Yeah,
Right.
it goes away quickly. Yeah. So I think I spent all fall and winter basically hunting and fishing and drinking, honestly. And then the spring comes around. I'm like, okay, I think it's time to start kicking in the civilian
Sure.
lifestyle again, And so I signed up for college, started going to college, and
At Western Michigan University.
no, I started at community college.
Okay, great.
Yep, so
Good,
I went to
good. That's a good move.
yeah, I went to KVCC for my first 2 years. Loved it. I would tell everybody do it.
Yeah.
It was a good experience. It was just big enough, where it's definitely a college environment, but not big enough to be overwhelming.
That's the one
Yeah.
right down.
It's right in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, yeah. So my dad actually did
In
that.
Oshtemo.
Before my dad
Yeah.
went to University of Michigan, he went to that college for
Yeah,
I think
smart.
a year or two.
Smart.
Yeah, yeah.
Saves so much money too.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And the
Yeah,
credits are the
community
same.
colleges and
The
stuff are
credits
great.
are the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I say go for that. So I did 2 years there, and then I transferred right to Western and got to Western.
Which is right across the street.
Yep. And they work very well with each other, and so Western Michigan, they have a great veterans program, so they're used to working with the GI Bills and transferring credits from the military and doing all this and that. So that honestly, I never had a problem with college. When I started college, I was I think I was 23 years old. So I'm
Well,
older.
you had
I'm older than most, and I just
5
had,
years of experience.
yeah, so I grew up quickly, very, very quickly. So when I started college, honestly, it was easy.
The discipline was already
It
there.
was so
and all
easy,
that.
yeah. And I mean, you can ask my family and my friends. I would. It'd be a Friday evening, and I would not leave until I busted out everything that needed to get done, and then I'd go have some fun.
Yeah,
you know,
get it all
It's a different
it
mindset.
It really.
You're currently in a master's program for leadership,
Oh, good for you.
and
Good for you.
you're getting ready to wrap that up, right?
2.5 weeks, my
Yeah.
capstone or thesis or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
is due. So I've been doing that for
Good
the
deal.
last 2
Yeah.
years.
Good deal.
But it's the same thing, you
Yeah.
just go and do it.
Yeah, it was. I took it as serious as I would take any other job.
Yeah,
it was a
absolutely.
job for me. In the summers I did construction, and I worked all summer long, and in the winter sometimes I worked at the printing shop and stuff like that. But I took it as serious as a job.
It's the next
And,
thing that you're doing, and you're going to do it the best you can.
Yeah, and I always had this fascination with muscles and the body and anatomy and physiology, so I was going to go into medicine. So I knew it's a competitive world, and I took it very serious. So I set myself up with my bachelor's so that I could go to either PA or med school. That was my plan. PA med school or occupational therapy or physical therapy or something, somewhere in that
Sure.
range. And graduated with a 3.89 in 4 years, and then I got a call, and a buddy was, I was getting ready to graduate. I'd actually got accepted to a master's program, an exercise science master's program at Western, and they asked me to be their grad assistant teacher. I did all the paperwork for it. I was going to go do this, and they were going to pay for half my master's, and I was going to just knock out my master's. And I get this call, and it's one of my buddies, and he's like, "Hey, you ever thought about doing contract work and this and that?" And I'm like, "Well, tell me more about this."
What's this all about?
I had heard about all these contractors and stuff, but honestly, I was so focused on school, and so I started looking into it. And I'm like, man, that's kind of a cool job. It's similar to what I used to do, but these guys are getting paid to do it. Real money to do this stuff. And I look in the mirror, and I'm like, well, now I'm 27 years old. I'm much older. Do I still got it? Do I still have it? And so it was time to find out. So I made a decision. I said, I'm going for it. So I dropped out. I ended up not doing the master's program. Let them know, hey, we're putting that on hold. And I signed up, and I flew to Washington, D.C. a couple times, signed papers, and next thing you know, I'm headed back into
going to
it.
Afghanistan.
I'm going back into it, yeah. So a lot of my friends and family, I don't think a lot of them understood it.
Yeah.
But, for me, honestly, I've never done anything for money in my life. I live very, very within my means.
Sure.
I've never made money. It was more or less to see if I could still do it.
Yeah.
Plus,
it was a challenge, right?
Yeah. Plus, honestly, I'd never seen Afghanistan, and at that point, Afghanistan,
Was
you
jumping
hear,
off.
you hear
Yeah.
about Sangin and all these terrible places in Afghanistan. I'm sitting back here like, well, I never got to go see Afghanistan, and that's where this whole thing started, was Afghanistan.
Right. Really. Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a huge reason. There's so much history there too. So much history. Alexander and the Russians, and I had to go see it. So that was a huge check in my box that I had to scratch off. And went through it. I went down and started doing all the training, and it was more a gentleman's course, but they want to make sure you're good, so did that. And then from there, the general security went over, and then I stayed, and I had to go through another sniper school, if you want to call it that. And they called me old school. I was the only 8541, which is like the original Marine Corps Scout Sniper MOS. Yeah. After me, they had changed it to 0317. They changed the MOS. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, a lot of the instructors and some of the people, they call me old school. Just my methods and the stuff I did was a little bit,
Yeah, but you had that. But you had that experience.
Yeah, I had the mentality of
you weren't faking it. You were doing what you had to do.
So went in there. Next thing you know, boom, I'm in Afghanistan working on top of the embassy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. So how long did you do that?
I did that. I think I actually I was in Afghanistan, I believe in early January, if I remember right. I think I stayed home for New Year's Eve, and then they kicked me over there. So from January to like mid-August, and then I came home.
Good portion,
rotated out. Yeah.
So what was that like? Was that
hot and boring?
Was it boring? That's what I was wondering. Was
hot and boring?
It's pretty much you were just security. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you did the security at the embassy. Yeah. Was it what you thought, or did you decide after that? Yeah, that I did it. Okay.
Challenge met. It was exactly what I'd heard. It was exactly what I heard. There was no spice in the job up. They're like, look, you're going to sit on a rooftop with a rifle, and you're supposed to be seen and heard. It's a different type of security. Sure. And that was what I wasn't used to. That I was so used to not being seen and heard, and planning missions and going out and being the aggressor, and actively doing missions. And this is a lot more passive security where I'm seen and heard. Everyone knows that we're here. Don't shoot at us, or else we're going to engage back. And I wasn't a big fan of it. I mean, we had to work. I'm not going to throw out any times and shifts and stuff like that, just for security purposes, or whatever. But you're on the rooftop for a long time, and it was just boring. I mean, there was stuff every now and then taking place, but they didn't necessarily mess with the American embassy too much. It felt like they targeted the Afghan embassy and other things, but there was always stuff taking place. We're always seeing people filming us, and
but it wasn't like
here. Oh no, it was completely different.
Fallujah or something.
No,
like that.
no. So you just focus on trying not to spend all your money, lifting as many and as heavy as weights as you can. I mean that's really what it becomes, is like eat, lift, get paid. And do your job. So
when I was in Okinawa, that was the old thing when we deployed to Okinawa was you're either going to find religion, you're going to find a bottle, or you're going to lift weights. You're going to do one of those, or a combination of those two things.
So it was a different type of job.
And what year was this?
This was all of 13.
Okay, so
all of 2013.
Right, so recent, like
not very long ago.
Bin Laden's gone, and
Yep.
So after that,
after that, I put in my notice. I said, hey, guys, it's time for me to go. And I came home. Actually, it was there where the idea for my company truly
that's what I was going to ask. Where'd that come from? So maybe we first talk about the name.
Yeah.
Or do you want to talk about
even that was a process. Okay. So I knew I wanted to start a clothing brand, but I have no business in any of this. I'm not a marketer. I'm a dude from a small country town. I don't barely know how to dress myself. Blue jeans and a t-shirt.
You got an idea.
I just have this idea. So, I was like, well, what are we going to call it? And it started off just way out in left field. It was like, well, we'll call it Michigan Militia, Midwest Militia, and it started as such a like a tactical, crazy, like the cross guns with skulls and rifles was the logo, and I remember sitting there when I was off and typing stuff up and rereading it and deleting it and being like, this is so ridiculous, like it's so cliche. I said, I want something that anybody from like a basic, the most blue collar guy like myself, all the way up to the president, would want to wear. So then that instantly changed it. And I remember, I was always part of something, whether it was in the military or team or sports or something like that, and people love being a part of something. So I started, looking at definitions and stuff, and I was like, section, and like the definition of section fits so well, and it was
when you were in sections, right? So
technically, I was a sniper section leader, squad, some section, that goes all the way back to like how the Romans and stuff used to fight, sections and ranks. And so I said, well, section 1776, it's humbly patriotic. It tells people, well, it's a group, it's a smaller elite group, or and it gives people a sense of being part of something. So
and the idea wrapped. I mean, it's
exactly what it-
1776.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
as patriotic as you can
Yeah,
get, really.
yeah. If you don't know what that, I've had a few people ask me, "What's that number?"
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Well, yeah. You got some more studying to do.
Yeah, you didn't pay really attention.
Yeah. So, that's where it started. And I came home, and like I said, I had worked at very good family friends of ours owned a big print shop, and they let me work in there through college. And so I had seen the process, and so I went in there, and they let me go in there, and I was in there all the time with the artists and the printers, and we just started
Designing stuff up.
Yeah, just started spitballing, designing stuff, and I was just gonna kind of do it for my friends and family, my military guys, my contracting crew, and started printing stuff. And next thing you know, I mean, I'm getting emails from people on the other side of the world, and my emails are blowing up, and it was word of mouth, and I was like,
Yeah.
what have I
Got something
done?
here.
Yeah,
Might have something.
what have I done here? And I started shipping stuff off, and pictures started coming back of people on mountaintops, people working over here. The most incredible pictures started coming back, and I said, people like this.
Yeah.
I'm onto something here. And I was running this whole thing out of a condo I was staying in, and I had like table about the size of this, and I had shirts folded up, and I mean, there was dogs that lived in the house, and so before I'd mail everything, I'd have to roll it and get all the dog hair off. And at one point in the winter, the roof leaked, and it like dropped, and it leaked, and it froze. And so like I had a pile of shirts that was a block of ice.
Frozen.
Yeah, and like this is like the start of my company.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, we got to make some changes. So we started, I hired a great web design artist, and I started really digging in. And, honestly, I went and I picked up a whole bunch of books from Barnes & Nobles, like how to run a business, how to make a business plan, and this and that. And I'd crack the covers a little bit, and I'd read, but I was like, well, I'm going to see what I can do on my own, because I see all these other clothing brands, and I'm not rewriting the book here. I'm just going to pick and learn and watch successes and failures from other people. And when I fail, I'm going to learn from it and adjust fire.
Absolutely.
When I succeed, you figure out why you succeeded.
Yeah.
And so, I don't even have a business plan, to be completely honest, if that shocks people. I mean, I don't. I started writing one up, and I got bored and went out and did fishing, went fishing or something. But so this has all been learning through successes and failures, and watching people and asking lots of questions, and asking business owners what works, what doesn't work. It's tough because I don't have any friends who have ever done a clothing brand.
Right.
So I ended up getting connected with a couple other people out there, and who have done this, and it's tough. It is tough. Doing a lifestyle brand, it's hit or miss. I mean, anybody and their mama can start one, but it's how do you start one that's different from the rest, that people connect with on multiple levels, and once you have them, they're a customer for life.
Yeah.
And it's tough, and in this day and age too, if you say or do the wrong thing,
Done.
a lot of
Well,
them
and there's
are
a lot of them out there now.
Yeah,
Right? So,
yeah.
So what I noticed too was when I first met you, it was 2 years ago.
Was it the golf outing, or
It was Bobby's house.
Bobby, yeah.
So through Homes for Our Troops, and you had already been going there at that time. With
I think I was only going for like 5 months.
Yeah, and it's and for earlier we were talking about people not understanding 1776 and things. It's Section 1776, a true American brand. So it kind of gives you a hint, right, on the 1776. But so I've kind of watched from afar of like, okay, what's going on and stuff. So you have more options, you have more, you're bringing new things to market. You did a thin blue line shirt, right?
Yeah,
Recently, and that sold like wildfire, I think.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yep. And I was telling Mike this morning about a picture I saw of a fireman sent you a picture.
Yeah.
They were fighting a fire or something, and he had his helmet tipped up, and there's a section sticker under his helmet.
Oh,
and he's asking, "Where's the red line, thin red line?"
I get asked that a lot. Hey, we're out here doing our thing too. Like, let's make it. Hey, everyone, relax.
We're like, we'll get there.
Yeah. I might be working on a little something.
So when we said earlier, building the company from the ground up, it truly is coming up from the ground up.
Yeah, it truly is.
And it's pretty inspiring gear. I got a shirt. Down below in the comments, we'll have a link to the website, Section 1776. I think we've linked it a couple other times.
I think so. Yeah.
But go there, check it out, buy some gear.
Yeah, I've always said I'm not selling T-shirts.
No, there's a whole variety.
But
you're selling a brand.
I'm selling the idea.
Yeah,
I'm selling the idea behind it. So if you like American-made stuff, which many people do, I did as a post. I said, hey, give me your top 3 reasons why you like this company. Every single person, their top 1 or 2 was American made. Yeah,
absolutely.
So people are starting to be very conscious of that, and they're looking at tags. So I was doing American made stuff before Trump made it cool.
Yeah.
All right. So
Even though he has stuff made in China.
So
the goofy thing, and you know what's funny about that though, real quick segue, is he got a lot of heat during the election on that, right?
Oh, his ties.
He said,
and
you know
his
what?
clothing,
Change the laws, change
Yeah,
the rules,
I'll bring it home.
and I'll bring it home
Yeah.
immediately.
I'll bring it
but why
home.
would I not take advantage of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyway, interesting.
So people like that it was made in USA. People liked what the logo means.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, there's not a logo. If somebody has a logo out there that has more meaning built into it secretly than that, I'd like to talk to them.
That'd be tough. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of stuff going on. in
Oh,
this
there's a
logo,
lot.
too.
Yeah,
but it's all tied around
it's
a
based
theme.
in
It's a theme.
based on American history, our flag, the colonies, the states.
Yep.
Every dimension, every millimeter was thought out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
But
just
I think that's what attracts people, because sometimes I don't think people realize it, and the ones that do will always, but the ones that don't grab in because other people do.
Yeah.
And they're like, well,
Yeah.
if this guy likes it, why do you like it? Then you can have that conversation that we keep talking about, continuing conversation, and it's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
My boss, I wore
It
this
is.
to work the other day. My
Pe-
boss asked me, "What is that?"
Yeah, people. Oh, you're not in the section. So it became this thing. It became no. Oh, I'm in the section, or are you part of the section? And we call it the Section Nation.
Yeah,
And it's
because you
just-
mentioned people send pictures. They
yeah.
get their gear
People-
on,
yeah,
and they send you a picture.
And they
of
send
the
me a
gear.
picture of them and their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Them. I've had. I mean, pictures of NFL players, pictures of country artists, and honestly, president.
Active duty military.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. Yep, president,
All the way around the
firemen,
world.
policemen, and President George Bush.
Yeah. I remember you posted a letter from him.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Thanks
I
for
know.
the gear.
My commander in chief. Yeah, I think he got like 4 or 5 polos, but he sent me the letter and spelt my last name wrong. Yeah, it was Matthew McDaid. I said, "Oh, typical George." Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
And then he
You
signed
probably
it.
threw that in there.
Yeah, him and his wife
His wife,
signed
yeah,
it.
yeah. I remember
So I
seeing
mean, that
that.
was awesome. I should probably throw it in a frame at some point. But
I remember seeing. that.
like I like stories like that. I do, but honestly, that makes for a cool picture. But what I like is when I see everyday people out wearing it, whether I'm at Lowe's or whether I'm pumping gas or I'm driving down the street and I see everyday people wearing it. Seriously, that's what gets me. They don't know who I am. Half of them, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that because they wear it that they know me.
Yeah.
It's way bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's way bigger than that. Yes, I do know a lot of them, and they may know of me, but I've never spoken with them. I've never talked to them.
Right.
They just they're a part of it too. And so that's what I like. And I have people coming up to me when I'm wearing stuff, and they shake my hand and say, "Hey, that's a cool company. Do you know the guy?" And I'll just kind of be like,
Little bit.
"Yeah," and I'll say, "Hey, thanks for your support." And wherever I see people, sometimes I don't bother them, but if I get a chance, I'll walk up and say, "Hey," I'll tap on the back, and say, "Hey, cool shirt," and I'll keep walking. And I've done that to people out. My girlfriend and I, we were out at a restaurant and we were eating, and there was it looked like a woman and her mom, and they were eating dinner, and she was wearing a section hoodie. And I went to the bathroom, and as I came back, I said, "Hey," that's a nice hoodie. Walked and sat back down. Oh, daggers. Yeah, like, "Don't talk to me, you creep." And I was like, "Oh,
Had no clue.
I'm so," yeah. And
Had no clue.
Sarah was like, she didn't like that.
That's
yeah.
funny.
So I started giving people their space, but that's what drives me is that I'm just a dude that lives on a dirt road, and I love knowing that there's people out there who wear it, they're proud of it, they tell people about it. Their word of mouth is what's making this thing grow. I'm not very good with social media and Facebook. What I post is just what I post. I'm not a professional by any means, but we've grown organically, and that's the strongest. It's the slowest growth, but it's the strongest growth. Word of mouth is the most powerful force out there.
And the other side of that is the quality of the merchandise.
Yeah.
Right? So like this shirt I'm wearing right now, a good golf shirt. I'm going to wear it to a golf outing that Matt is co-sponsoring. But this is a very light, nice, it's not heavy cotton, and it's not going to shrink, and it's good gear.
Yeah,
the stickers, the mugs, the hats.
It's tough. It's tough because I'm still small enough where I can, I'm the one that does the work. I order in all the samples.
Yeah.
I do all, I'm packing and shipping. I do the customer service and stuff like that. So I'm able to see it before it goes out, and if I don't want my name or my brand on it, it's not going out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going out.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that matters.
Yeah, and
so leading a business versus leading. Obviously, in the military, leading Marines in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's on a level. Leading in a business environment where you're in the military, you're part of a bigger plan. You're part of a bigger mission. You're pretty much the guy, right, with the
Right.
company.
Right.
What do you think from a leadership perspective? How you've learned leadership in the military and things like that, and coming up with the experiences you've had? How's that translated to what you're doing with your company?
Probably big time. Yeah, it's, I think every leader has a vision. You have to have a vision or an end state goal. If you don't, you're just wandering aimlessly.
Mm-hmm.
So having a good vision is key, but understanding what it's going to take to get to that vision, and then bringing in the right team to get you there. I mean, we worked in small units, sniper teams, 4 or 6 guys, and you have to take into consideration everybody's input, all the way from the
Right.
the lowest ranking guy all the way down. And you have to take into everyone's input and then build your plan off that. But you have to be able to make decisions. If you have a hard time making decisions in general, probably not
Right.
what you want to do. Yeah, stick with just working for somebody else.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision, and whether it's right or wrong, go forward with it as hard as you can, and you're going to find out. And you're going to find out eventually if it was right or wrong. And then self-diagnosis, what works, what didn't work. So just like after actions of a mission or a firefight,
Right.
you always do a debrief and after actions report. You have to almost do that with each mission. So right now, you saw the video that we're launching,
Yeah.
right? With the big
Yeah,
flag
check that
campaign.
Go check that video out on his website. It's good campaign.
I'm working with this Facebook wizard, and we're going to do an after actions report. You have to break down what works, what didn't work, and adjust fire if needed and come at it from a different direction. But leadership is leadership, and some people, they say leaders. Some people are born leaders. Some people are taught to be
We've
leaders.
talked about this. Yeah.
It's so tough, but you have to have the initial courage to stand up and let your voice be heard. And we watched a movie. It was called Buying a Zoo or something like that. And one of the key, it was such a silly, simple movie, but they say you have to have 30 seconds of insane courage.
Oh yeah.
Insane courage to step up and say something. Most people don't have it.
No.
A lot of people don't
They might have
it,
it, but they don't believe it.
They don't believe it. They don't believe in
Yeah.
themselves, and
Yep.
that's one thing the military does. Is it teaches you to believe in yourself.
Right.
I'm lucky because I get to walk through my life every single day knowing that whatever anybody throws at me, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna get through it and crush
Yeah.
it. Exactly. So I think I might take that for granted. I'm a very confident and capable guy, and most people that have been through what we've been through are, but not only being in charge, but when you're working, I'm a prior military guy, but honestly, I leave a lot of that at the door when I'm working with people. I've had people tell me hey, he's a little nervous to sit down and meet with you. It's what?
Why?
Yeah,
Where
I
does that
know,
even
and
come from,
it blows me away. And that's one thing that I think people connect with my company is that they see these not very professional posts. They see this dude that's just out doing his thing, grinding, and they connect with it, and they're like,
absolutely.
actually he's just like me, or he's just like my brother, and I think people really connect with it. I'm just a real guy. I'm so far, from, being an elitist or Hollywood or being way up here, and I think people connect with that. So there's different leadership styles. There's leading by rank, and there's leading by example.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
You can lead by title, or you can lead by action.
Yeah. And I wish my whole sniper team was sitting here, but you could ask them. But I don't think they followed me at all because I was a sergeant or I was in the position.
Because they had to.
No, I think
They did 'cause they wanted
they
to.
respected me and I respected them, and that's what makes a team work or fail.
Absolutely.
I think that's a lost art. My master's is in organizational leadership, so it's in leadership, and it's one of those things where you can read all the books and you can listen to the practitioners, they call them, and all the things, but at the end of the day, it's about trusting people. It's about, and how do you build trust? You have to go out of your way to build trust with people.
You
right?
do.
And if they don't trust you, those guys would have never followed you. And if you didn't trust them, you guys were done before you ever got started.
Right.
And I think in business today, a lot of people don't understand that. And the phone ringing. People don't understand the
People
phone
don't understand
ringing.
that. I hear my wife running to grab it.
That's all good though.
But,
Yeah,
that's
all
it's
good.
just people don't. I fight this battle with the people that I work with in the manufacturing industry, in the manufacturing environment. There's no trust.
Yeah.
And I have this conversation with my production manager and my plant manager and HR manager, and it's a concept I think that we get, but that we don't hold other people to.
Right.
right? So if I want you to trust me, I have to figure out how to build that trust with
Right,
you.
right.
And if I don't put the effort into it, where are you?
We talked about that in our first podcast on leadership. We talked about ego and trust, and ultimately, like we define trust as one of the foundational principles, right?
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, Matt, how do you feel running a fire team in a firefight if you have no trust? If everything else is good, but you don't have trust, are you going to be successful?
both ways.
No.
You don't trust them; they don't trust you.
Oh, it goes both ways, big time.
Yeah.
They have to trust that I'm making the right decisions and I'm putting them in positions, or they have to trust that I train them well enough that they're going to do their jobs. And they see it, they feel it, they know it, and it works.
Yeah.
It works, and that's why we are successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing too, you said earlier, and it kept resonating with me. A couple things. Every opportunity is a learning opportunity and a teaching opportunity.
Yeah.
So in the military, there's a kind of a big unwritten rule, if you will. Maybe written, I don't know. But you're learning the job ahead of you, and you're teaching the guy behind you to do yours, right? So, and that's for real life results, because the person in charge of you might not be there tomorrow, and you may not be there, whatever. So people got to fill slots. You got to be able to advance and move slots. And in the civilian world, in business and stuff, there's some similarity to that. You want to, people that are motivated to advance and things, you want to be learning more things. You're learning from your bosses, I'm learning from my bosses, with the goals one day of wanting to advance. There's people that come to work that they just have no ambition to advance. They're good, they're content, they're good. There's nothing wrong with that. The other thing you were mentioning is, your after action reports, your adjusting and stuff immediately clicks into my head from a business perspective, the Deming cycle of plan, do, check, act. Make a plan, go do it, check your results, act, take action on that. If you got to adjust the plan, right? The same cycle as you guys are doing constantly in your company. When you were in the military, the plan, do, check, act, and just keep doing those after action reports and adjusting. It's funny because the SEALs, something I never learned. I didn't know anything about this in the SEALs, but they use PowerPoint like it's going out of style. Right? So in the business world, PowerPoint, people use Microsoft PowerPoint a lot. And there's like this, like Dilbert, right? The cartoon Dilbert. They have these things where like, oh, here comes the PowerPoint wizard, and it's almost like a negative. Oh yeah, great, you do PowerPoints. The SEALs would do PowerPoints like constantly.
Everyone does. It's death by PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to build
But what is it really? It's all planning.
Yeah.
It's all planning.
Oh
so
my gosh.
it's detailing that plan out and then being able to adjust it, then go act on it.
Yeah.
And adjust from it.
For example, I remember going through sniper school and like you have to fill out these warning orders and these huge gear lists, and basically you're building a picture that you can give to your higher ups so that they can see who, what, when, where, why. And in your gear list, so you do these things and then you have to follow that plan that you built exactly, and the instructors make sure that you do it exactly to your plan. So they'll get everyone, they'll be like, okay, you have here, your ruck, 5 quarts of water, 3 MREs, and they get down, they're like, it doesn't say here bootlaces. Take your bootlaces off.
Yeah, now what happens?
Yeah, and so you have to take your bootlaces off. Yeah, if you forgot something in there, you're not bringing it. Poncho. Yeah. So you have to think all the way down to the smallest thing, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, like now I have to duct tape my boots. But what if you didn't have duct tape on the gear list, Right. And it becomes this thing where they teach you to really think huge and then think small. And you're handwriting these like 90 to 100 page toots, and every single thing that can go wrong or will go wrong, you have to have a contingency plan for ABC. And they really teach you how to do that. And I'll be completely honest, the past 3 years, I've been running my company almost off the cuff. What feels right to me, I ask the section a lot, my customers, what do you want to see? Like, what do you like seeing?
Absolutely.
And I fish with a good buddy of mine, Matt, every single Thursday in leagues, and I ask him, I'm like, hey, what do you like seeing? Like, what resonates with you? And being able to get that true feedback, and he's not a guy that's going to blow smoke. I mean, he'll tell you, dude, that was stupid. Like, or like, and so he gives me a good idea of what people like out there, what people don't like. And so now the past 3 years has been really off the cuff and kind of just, me doing what I know what works. But this is the first year from January on where I'm taking a look at it from a different perspective of, okay, this beast has been going for 3 years now, and I don't have a business plan. I don't have this, but everything is working. So now it's time to tighten it up.
Right.
What's the next level?
It's time. Yeah, exactly. Like, at some point, I shouldn't be the guy packaging and shipping and doing the customer service.
Right.
Unfortunately, even though I love that part of it, it makes
It's
me
going to get to where
me
you
feel
just
connected.
can't,
But
you physically can't do it.
Yeah. So I just had a meeting yesterday with some people, and it's time to really start expanding this the way that I know it should and will.
Right.
America has spoken, honestly. America has
Yeah.
spoken. They love it. They love it. So now it's time to get a bigger microphone, be seen and heard more, and building that right team, that trustworthy team that I trust in, they trust me. That everyone knows the end state, and everyone works for that goal. So
The commander's intent.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
What is the
Commander's intent.
Work
So
towards it.
that's what I'm working on right now. So the next probably 3 to 6 months is really building a team and getting that team all in line. I mean, it's just like a regular deployment.
Yeah,
You get your
absolutely.
team, you do a build up,
Right.
Yeah.
and you launch it.
Yeah.
So
Plan, do, check, act.
exactly. So I'd like to build a team this summer and fall, really hone in what we want, and then next year, the spring of 2018, we're gonna launch this thing like it's never been.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's time to take this thing to, it already is bigger than I ever thought it would be, to be honest. But it's time
There's
to,
so much potential there.
yeah, there is so much potential. There really is. And so it's time to, it's time to take it to where it should be. And not just to grow the business, but there's so much behind this.
Yeah, there's a meaning.
People doing,
there's-
volunteering for the communities, everything. We do so much stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do. And that's what people love. They say, we always look for things to do and to give back to and events. And you do that. So I've become almost an outlet for people in this area to show
Absolutely.
up, to volunteer, to give back, to do this and that, So it's a great, it's a great feeling for me.
Yeah, so interestingly, during one of our breaks filming this, he got a message. He had to actually
Oh yeah.
go buy more storage for his site where people are sending in the pictures of, he's got a campaign.
It's called the Fly Your Flag
Fly Your
campaign.
Flag
Yeah,
campaign,
basically I just
yeah.
call people out and I say, hey, send me pictures of you and your flags. And, speak through me. Send them to me, I'll post
That's
them
the
on
American
videos.
flag you're talking,
Yeah,
obviously.
so we just released it last night. It's taken off. And
Well, and you released it a long time ago.
right,
like
this is
your
a
first- this is a
this is
refresh of it.
a rebuttal,
Yeah.
basically saying, I got your pictures.
Yep.
It's what's driving me to do. I hear your voice. I know you believe in this too. We're working.
Yeah.
We're working.
There's a great video on his website talking about this campaign. There's two now. The first one is great because it really talks about right after 9/11, and flags were everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And our country pulled together. And what did we pull together around? We pulled together around a crisis, but it was the flag that pulled us together,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of dwindled away. And now with the reboot, with the refresh, coming back hard at it.
Yep. I mean,
And you just had to leave and go order more storage for the pictures that are flooding
yeah,
in,
but
which is awesome.
which is great. Yeah,
Keep 'em
thanks,
coming.
thanks
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah, keep them coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everything has ebbs and flows. I mean, everything does. But especially with the election last year and everything, there was such a division.
Oh yeah.
When it still is, yeah. it's
Yeah,
still-
and it still is, and it's a strong, deep one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, there's families that they just do not get along anymore. I mean, friends and who just aren't seeing eye to eye. And
that's a shame too.
it is. It really is, because there's so much more to this country than just who's running it and and what people are saying on the news and the TV. It's us.
Well, it's crazy because if you can break down a country between just two people, where's the weakness really at, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if Tom and I had a conversation about the president and we didn't agree, then the show wouldn't happen because of somebody that really doesn't have
It's
a whole
nothing to
lot
do
to
with
do
it.
with us.
Right. Right.
It's a personal relationship and doing this show. And so if you're letting, the president break your family up, and I know it's deeper than that with the principles and values
Yeah.
that people have,
Yeah.
but
Ultimately, though,
it shouldn't break families.
what's changed? from your day-to-day life, what's changed? Now, that's not to say things couldn't change in the future, but currently, right now, what's changed? Like, I'm still doing the exact same thing today that I was doing a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part, and you're here, entrepreneur with your own business, and you're about to grow even bigger.
I'm sitting here talking to you, man. This is the first time I've met you, and I'll tell you, your story is really inspiring because I think that people have a fear of going on their own. I would include myself in that. I would love nothing more than to come up with an idea.
I'd love to be my own
that has
boss.
substance behind
Yeah.
it. And Tom and I talk about this all the time. You know, I work for a good company and everything, but I would love nothing more than to do something on my own.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that I work with that had a clothing line for motocross and stuff like that. Exploded, but then him and his brother-in-law had a falling out, and the company
Fell apart.
and they were doing big stuff. I mean, they were doing really
Good
cool
for them.
things. So, I mean, it's just inspiring because, you know, it gives people just a plain Joe, you know, an everyday guy that's going out and doing his thing. So, you know,
And
people,
what's really cool about it too is it's got meaning.
Yeah.
And it could have different meaning to him than me.
Yeah.
But it's all rooted in the same meaning.
Right. Right.
So you have Unconquered. You know, Unconquered. You got a lot of different things on the website. Go check it out. You'll find, like we've talked about our conversations on leadership. We're not experts. We're this book right here doesn't teach you anything new. This stuff's been around for thousands of years, literally, leadership. It's just take that little tidbit away, go to the website, find the one thing you like, and plus leave feedback. Throw some feedback and say.
I do. I listen. Honestly, I listen, guys. That's what. How can you not listen? You know, how can you not?
How can you not listen to your customers?
I always say this isn't my brand. This is our brand.
Yeah, and we're in the section. We're all in the section.
Yeah, we're all in this together, and so I like hearing what people want to see. And
yeah, so you mentioned earlier too with charitable work. So we mentioned
that's
Homes
a
for Our
big
Troops.
part of what I do. Yeah.
I had a nephew Robert Throkill that lost his legs in Afghanistan. Homes for Our Troops built him a house here locally in Michigan. Matt raised I think over $8,000 just for that one house.
Yeah.
You've raised well over $15,000 for other total. That money comes from section, right? From Matt and you're giving back from the section.
Yeah.
So I know you also have a golf outing coming up that the section is sponsoring.
Yep.
For it's going to benefit fire, police, and veterans.
Yep.
And you already mentioned it. Some of that's going to go to the honor flights.
Oh yeah. So I teamed up with Kalamazoo Mortgage and Modern Woodman, and because I used to do our own golf outing called Drive Away Hunger, and then Kalamazoo Mortgage did their own. Well, they're so similar that we combined them. Yeah. So it's the Hero Salute, and right now we have 2.5 golf courses filled.
Yeah.
So we have
it's no joke.
Huge.
You got like 400 people.
Yeah, we're estimating 340 to 350 people coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's big. And so we had to figure out, where does our money go to? And Kalamazoo Mortgage has their own 501, and I have my own 501 as well. And there's really no overhead, so there's no operating costs.
Right.
So all this money that we raise is going back out. Yeah. So we're looking at doing a huge donation to Sister Lake's burn camp, a burn camp for children across the state and country that come in. Doing it's called Shop with a Cop, where Michigan State Police, they get to go into inner city schools and they get teamed up with these students, and they get to take the student shopping and build rapport with them, and it's trying to break that barrier of there's a cop, I'm scared, run. Yeah.
Right.
So we hit them while they're young. So a lot of the money is coming to my 501 section collection, and we do huge food drives every year. Last year we raised over 14,000 pounds. We parked a semi at Costco, filled that bad boy, and then we went and delivered it to VFWs, and then there's some Silver Star apartment complex in Battle Creek that houses homeless and low-income veterans, and we fill their pantry. And so this year, actually, I'm doing 3 locations. Last year was 1 location. This year I've been working with Costco's corporate, and we're doing Grand Rapids, Michigan, Wyoming, Michigan, and Kalamazoo. Nice. So I'm going to be reaching out, trying to find volunteers to run each location.
Yeah.
But, there's such a massive response from locals in Kalamazoo, that I expect no different from Wyoming and Grand Rapids.
Absolutely.
So
if
something is big and beautiful, make it more big and beautiful. So we're growing that. So all the money is sticking around this area and having an impact here. But when people buy stuff through the website, 10% of everything of that. I used to donate to Homes for Our Troops, incredible organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to know a lot of the people involved. I went to events for them. I did speeches for them, raised a lot of money. I saw firsthand with Bobby, what incredible things they're doing. But as my company evolved and as time changed, I adjusted, and so now I donate to, it's called Team Rubicon. They're veteran owned as well, and they do disaster relief. So they're actually working on one right now up in Midland, Michigan. There's this huge flooding. Yep. So tomorrow I'm hoping that I can go, and I'm going to go be like a leader's recon and go like scout the area and figure out, and then they're going to spin up an operation. But basically they allow civilians and prior military to be a part of this team. So there's a lot of similarities between Section and Team Rubicon. Yeah. But they allow these people, they let them deploy to these disaster zones, and they clean up debris, rubble, whether it's flooding, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes. They go all over the world. So I donate to them now, and I am part of Team Rubicon. I've gotten to do one operation with them in Detroit. We went and
that's the photos I showed you. We went and cleaned up the brush.
We cleaned up inner city alleyways and stuff to make it safer travel. So I've gotten to see how they operate. Yeah. I've gotten to meet them, and they build the same unity and sense of purpose that the Section kind of does too. Yeah. It allows people to be part of, I'm in Team Rubicon. Yeah. I'm in Section Nation, Sure. So there's a lot of things there.
It's a good synergy right there.
And the owner, actually, Jake, he's a prior Marine Corps Scout sniper as well. I believe from 27 or 17. Great. Yeah. So, but I mean, he is doing incredible things, and I've learned a lot from him and what he's doing. And I watch you, Jake. I watch you. I know what's working. Yeah.
That's that learning and teaching opportunities.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So that's what we're doing now. But yeah, Homes for Our Troops. That I spent my first 3 years raising and donating to them and going to events. They are incredible. And I mean, look at how well Bobby's doing. They really set him and his family up for success. Yeah.
They're helping these veterans that need that. It's for wounded warriors, disabled from the war, and they build them, in essence, handicap adaptable houses. And it's amazing how many guys, when I went down and visited Bobby in the hospital, he, like 10 days after he got hit, he was in Bethesda, and my wife and I drove down, and 2 things I noticed. One, he was on the 5th floor of a 8 or 12 story building or something like that. His whole floor was Marines. Oh wow. And with similar injuries to his, amputees, right? Single, double, triple amputees. He had a roommate for a little bit that had a traumatic brain injury, actually got wounded in the head. They were trying to teach him basic things, right? Mm-hmm. Bathroom, kitchen, So you see these guys, and these guys are coming back, men and women, and they need this support and help. So groups like that, like Team Rubicon, going around helping the people that are facing a disaster right now that need help. Oh, yeah. There's no better way than the immediate on the ground, impact right now, impact my life right now.
Oh yeah, and these guys come in heavy and hard. I mean, they come in and they set up their base of operations, and they run it just like a military op. Honestly, they set up their I forget what they call them, like basically like a fire team type things, and they got the leaders, and I mean, it's amazing how they run it. They run it very similar to what we used to.
Sure, absolutely.
To how we used to.
Yeah. But that's how you want it in those situations.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have that discipline. You got to have that plan, do, check, act, and the ability to learn and adjust quickly, and that is awesome. So one of the things you talked about earlier, you mentioned small town, in essence, small town USA, right?
Yeah.
And the beginning of this video started with a speech that Matt gave at the key ceremony that talked about that's how America wins. So we were talking earlier about politics and who's in charge and all that stuff. And sure, you could get caught up in that forever and debate that forever. The reality is, like Matt said in that speech, America is great because of America, not because of our president, not because of the politicians. It's because of the civilians that make up this country, and the military and the police and the fire and the doctors and the nurses and everything. Everybody that plays a role in this country in some way makes this country great. And I think that was an important part of your speech was, you know what? This is how we win.
Yeah,
right?
This is how we win.
You and Bobby and others went and did your duty over there and served our country, and Vietnam vets and stuff. You know, that's the old debate of winning and losing a war, right? Nobody wins a war. Nobody. There is no like, yeah, they can have a parade and stuff, but great. But the price that's paid during war on both sides is significant. And these guys coming back that need some help, being able to raise money to help them, people that are hit by flash flooding, stuff like that. Team Rubicon can go and help them immediately. That's what makes America great. And I don't think we're ever going to lose that.
Yeah.
regardless of our president or politicians or whatever. That's what makes our country great. And I think to your credit, you're still finding ways to serve. You're still finding ways to honor those who do serve. Mm-hmm. So that's a credit to you, and hopefully you understand that inspires other people. I know people that have known you through social media or whatever, and they're inspired by the efforts and the work that you do. And obviously continue that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I appreciate it. I completely agree. Honestly, when we stop talking with our neighbors and when we stop, saying hi to people you don't even know, and we stop lending a helping hand, we lose. We lose. That's not what this country was built on. And I am from a small town, and I get frustrated when I'm driving and I give the 2-finger flip wave off my truck, and they don't give it back. For number one, they're not observant. Number two, they don't say hi anymore.
I kind of call it a selfish, right? Everyone's kind of selfishly just in their own little world.
Yeah, and so, where we're from, we check on our neighbors' houses. Nobody comes down or near our houses or roads without a neighbor popping out and saying hi. I'm blessed to be from such a small, strong, supportive community, but that doesn't have to be lost when you live in a big inner city. You see people on trains and stuff. They don't even talk to each other. They don't even look at each other. If you bump somebody wrong, there's an issue. Like when we lose our sense of greater cause, our sense of fabric in America,
community.
We do lose. Yeah, we do
absolutely.
lose. Yeah. So, I appreciate you saying people are inspired. I've never felt like what I'm doing is huge or great, to be completely honest. Even when I was in the military, it was a job. Some people paint, some people are nurses, some people this. I was a sniper and I was in the military. It was a job.
Yeah.
There were times when I was like, this job's crazy, but it felt like a job. And so it's a humbling, odd feeling when people say, thank you so much. You're inspiring. And that's a great effect of what I'm doing. Honestly, I like doing it for other people. I'm a very intrinsic guy. When I see people coming to events and they get that feeling of giving back and they're able to do more in their community, I did my job. Allowing people to get the same feeling, and for them to be the inspiring person, that's what this is. That's what it's kind of ultimately about.
Right. We talked early on about leadership too, being the definition of leadership, and it's really inspiring others to do things. And just like we said, you can lead by title or you can lead by action, and you lead by action. And I think that inspires other people to get up and go do action.
Yeah, and honestly, I've never been somebody I haven't read 15 leadership books. I don't go to leadership conferences and stuff like that. I couldn't tell you what works and what doesn't work. All I can tell you is what I see from other people and what my experiences have been the past 15 years and how it's gotten me here. And a lot of it is just keeping your eyes open and being aware of what is working and what is not working.
Yeah.
And not losing a sense of home and where you're from, and communication is key. Right. If you can't talk to somebody above you or below you, you're not going to go anywhere. So, absolutely. I love talking with people and shaking hands, and I hope I never ever lose that aspect of this company. I hope to be able to do more of that. I want to know everybody in the section. It'll never happen, but that's a goal. But I want to hear their stories. I want to hear what drives them. Why when they wear this, they're excited and proud. I want people to never lose sight of this is so much bigger than just clothing. Right.
Good conversation here, I think. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know also you're involved in a CPL class in Kalamazoo.
Yeah. I used to work with guns, and that was
absolutely.
I couldn't lose that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I still shoot as much as I can and train as much as I can. But myself and another friend, we went and we got certified to be NRA instructors, basically because when I went and got my CPL, the instruction was absolutely terrible. It was so poor, and the one take home I got was the guy said, bring two, or wherever you go, carry 2 wallets. Have one that's fake and one that's real, and if you get mugged by gun, just throw the fake one and walk away. That was seriously like the take home of the course.
From a CPL course.
Yes, He even asked, he goes, do you want to shoot today? Because it used to be you didn't even have to shoot to get it. So I remember looking at that and being like, well, luckily, I came from a background of hunting and fishing and military, so you know, I didn't necessarily need that instruction, but at the same time, there's a lot of people.
Other people do.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Gun safety is critical, right?
So, you know, I started talking to a couple of guys, and they're like, man, that was my experience too. So I said, well, let's start our own, because I think it is extremely important to have truly confident and capable concealed carry people out there.
Right.
More people with guns is not the answer. The answer is confident, capable people.
Right.
And so I said, well, especially in our community, there may come a time when I may need help, and I want somebody who's had proper training to be able to save me. So we fired up our own. It's called Kalamazoo CPL Classes, and we've run a lot of people through it. And you know, I'll say it, we charge more, but I put so much effort into, and so does my partner Todd. We put so much effort into making it the best 8 hours of instruction that you're going to get for your money. And
Well, you guys have, from a safety standpoint, what you're instilling in the classes is safe, responsible, concealed.
Yeah,
right?
and
so,
you know, I rarely talk about my military. You know, a lot of people, that's all they got. Well, in the military we did this.
Yeah.
You know, that may give them a sense of comfort, but I rarely talk about the military. And you know, I'm a huge believer in, if people put their cell phones down and start looking around and keeping their eyes up here, 90% of the problems that people get into will go away.
Right.
People lose their sense of awareness, and so I hit huge on ways to not become a target, the 4 levels of awareness, and you know, I'm a big believer in don't even get into a situation.
right.
So you know, this is truly a tool of last resort.
Nobody wants to get in a gunfight.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So not even in war. You don't want to.
And
You're not out. The macho go out and look for a gunfight, but in reality, a boring day is a good day as long as you're winning, right? I mean, as long as you're accomplishing the mission. But
and what we're starting to see now is we have numerous people come through our course. They call us or they email us. They're like, "Hey, I just took a course. I'm not gonna say any names, but I just took a course here or here, and I don't feel confident." Yeah, and so we heard about you. We didn't take you because you're a little bit more expensive, but guess what? They're coming through us.
Yeah.
So they get there, and at the end of the day, per usual, I always open up the floor. I say, is there anything that I can do as an instructor to change or make this course better for you? And, you know, a few things have been like, yeah, keep the air on, you know, or change, you know, bring us pizza, you know, or something like that. But, you know, most people, their after actions are, I've been through other courses, and this is head and, you know, shoulders above what they're covering. You know, they may cover the wickets, but you know, I dive into why, and you know, I've been.
We've talked about that, teaching the why.
You have to teach the why.
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
to. And I'm a big why guy too.
That instills the confidence.
Which is why I always like physiology and anatomy and why.
Why is it working?
Yeah, why is it? Yeah. So, you know, and also I've got years of instructing. You know, I worked with you know, teaching lots of teaching people how to shoot guns, so I know how to connect to people. Whether, you know, they're this personality or they have this experience or no experience, you know, I've worked with them.
Right.
And so people really, that, you know, their take home is like, yeah, I was a little nervous getting in there, but, you know, he got to my level. We built that confidence, that trust, and, you know, and we instruct, and it's been great. I mean, we've pushed a lot of people through, and, you know, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I hope people keep coming to us because I'm going to be working hard.
What's really good about this is you're in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Right? And a couple of years ago, Kalamazoo experienced an active shooter situation. Around town, multiple people lost their lives. Everyone thinks that's never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed in a million years something like that would have happened in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
That was
sure
such a
enough,
crazy night. Yeah. But after that happened, we had more emails and calls coming through.
Yeah.
It opened people's eyes.
Absolutely.
Wait, I don't live in a bubble. This can happen here. And honestly, I never, ever, ever try to get people to sign up because of fear.
No, right.
I'm not the type of guy that's like, if you don't do this, you're going to get shot or you're going to get mugged. You know, I don't do that.
Because you could still get shot and mugged.
I come from let me build the confidence.
Right.
Give me 8 hours. Let me build your confidence so that you walk around how a lot of us walk around without living in fear, without, you know, people who live in fear. Well, I couldn't imagine that. I haven't done that in ever, really, you know? And so I like building people's confidence.
That's the key. have the confidence, but do it safely, but have the confidence.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. A lot of gun safety courses and stuff teach you how to hold the gun, how to shoot the gun.
Yeah.
But you can still be afraid of that gun, right?
Well, you gotta get out and use it. I mean, you gotta get out.
Yeah,
and practice,
we're just starting. Yeah, so
it.
we teach the CPL, but I also teach a more advanced. It's not NRA condoned or certified, whatever. But
You go above and beyond that.
Oh yeah. So from there, that's the CPL will get you certified to carry, and you learn how to safely manipulate a firearm. But if you actually want to learn more in real life, there's no shootings that take place on a static range with your toes on a line, shooting a
with
target.
paper target.
Yeah, that doesn't work. So so I've written a couple of curriculums and courses that people come to us, and you give me 8 hours, and we're gonna shoot 500-600 rounds. You're gonna be sweating, your heart rate's gonna be up. I'm gonna put stress in you. I'm gonna make you think. I'm gonna make you perform under stress, and that's a much better bang for your buck if you really want to learn what's going to happen if something, if a
doesn't do you any good if you're carrying a concealed weapon if you don't have that confidence to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you never have to use it, right?
Yeah, that's the trick.
If you do, then you want to be prepared.
Yeah, and that's why I preach. There's a whole section in my day where I'm like, listen up to this, and I just teach you how not to get in, how to carry yourself, how to dress, how to be aware, where to sit, how to set yourself up, how to change your house. Just a few little things in your house will make your house less of a target. And I mean that's what I truly think people miss. You're not coming there to just learn how to shoot and kill somebody.
Right.
It's how not even to get into that
It's how
situation.
not to do that.
Yeah. And that's what I think people take home that big time.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that, I think you have I know you have a Facebook page for that.
Yep. It's Kalamazoo CPL Classes.
Yep. So we'll link that description in the bottom. We'll link the description to the section 1776, True American Brand. We'll link Extreme Ownership again because I love that book. So
Actually,
plugging it.
So that book, my girlfriend's dad was he was down in Florida at I think it was a leadership conference down in Florida that he works for Stryker. So Stryker sends these people down there, and he met Leif. Yeah. So he met Leif, and it was funny. Bob, his name's Bob. He said he sat there and listening to Leif talk, and he goes, "That's Matt." He's like, the way that he talks, the way that he carries himself, the way that he thinks. He's like, "That's Matt." He's like, "I'm gonna buy this book." So he bought the book, and Leif signed it. And
That's
so
awesome.
he gave me that book, and I was waking up in the middle of the night to read that book.
Yeah,
I
couldn't
really
put it down. I'm not a book reader.
Yeah.
I could not put that down when it
see,
came. I just read the whole thing.
I read a lot, not in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
This one, I was waking up at 3 a.m. I'd wake up, and I'd be like, and I'd turn my light on, and I'd sit there and read. And I like it so much. I mean, it's signed, and it's very, it has a lot of meaning to it just because of who the guys are, where they fought, and what it's
you were there.
About.
You walked on the same
and
ground.
It's signed, Leif signed it, but I sent it to my cousin.
Yeah.
I said, this is something that is so good, you need to read it, and then you send it to somebody you trust.
Yep.
And then they send it to somebody they trust, and it'll come back to me. It'll come back, and I hope it's got, I hope it's beat up a little
Just
bit.
pay
I
it
hope it's got
forward.
mud and food on it. That means it was used.
Right.
Yeah. This one I got it highlighted and written, all kinds of stuff. And my friend that's in from Sweden, I talked to him about it. He just bought it last night. He's going to take it back with him to Sweden.
Great.
It is. And again, it doesn't teach you anything new. Just teaches you maybe new ways to think about it.
Yeah, and how to relate that to civilian life.
Yeah, and it's cool because they give you a military story, they give you the principle, they give you a business story.
Yep.
So they whether you're a military geek kind of like me, or you're just purely business, you can get something from both avenues on it. So awesome book. Really want to thank you for coming in today.
Yeah,
Again, we'll link everything in the description. We'll give us some feedback. Search Matt out on Facebook, section 1776. Give some ideas and feedbacks on his brand.
Yeah,
his brand is awesome.
Talk to me, I'm listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And then get those pictures. You get your flag up and get your pictures of the flags and send that in to the campaign.
I know you're out there. We're not the only ones that feel this way.
No, it's the whole country. It's a groundswell movement of trying to get back to understanding that we're in the greatest country in the world for a reason. We're blessed to be here, but let's keep it that way. Right?
Yeah.
So awesome. So we really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you guys
thanks,
very much. Yeah, appreciate it. First podcast ever. Yeah.
Well, good.
I don't get to talk about myself either. So
no, it's good. It's good.
Not that I enjoyed or anything, but
it's really good. Yeah. So it helps get the word out. Team Rubicon, look that up.
Yep.
Try to support these organizations that are supporting others.
Check them out, and anybody can deploy with Team Rubicon, as long as you can take an online test and you can pass a background check and you're able-bodied and ready.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can go deploy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can stick around whenever there's a problem with your, within your region. You might get an email or a text.
Help out.
Yeah, go help out.
That's
so
awesome.
It's good for prior military and civilian.
Yep. We'll have all that links in the bottom. give us some feedback. But until then, Mike, thanks today. We'll come back next week. We'll have another interesting topic.
Yeah, and as always, stay American.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Well, that does it for this week's show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Two Guys in a Podcast.